welcome everyone to this special Friday the 13th edition of Google Plus Week.
Oh, that's the problem.
This is like the night from hell. We had Jennifer couldn't get in, and this has just been a nightmare. Moritz, even with all your Google powers, you were unable to fix this for us.
We should have had Brad start the broadcast from down under. It's the 14th there.
Moritz, would that help if we got someone from a different time zone?
Maybe.
They weren't on the 13th.
Okay, so this has just basically been a cluster, you know what. Okay, so we are 45 minutes late. All right, so, and I wanted, Alan couldn't be here. It's Yom Kippur, and I think basically you don't eat or drink for 24 hours. And so I'm thinking he's at some kind of buffet getting ready. So for whatever reason, he can't be here. And we will highlight that. But I spoke to him earlier, and so we'll have lots of Alan tonight. I have an exclusive interview with Alan Furstenberg. And so let me first introduce the panel here. We've got Bruce Turner. We have one secret person on the left. I won't say who. Bruce Turner's with us. And welcome, Bruce. Good to have you with us.
Great to be here from Charlotte Douglas Airport.
Absolutely. Bruce has just had some great chicken. How much did it cost? What does chicken cost at an airport?
Too much.
With the tip, it came to $17.95.
Oh my God! Turn around and grab your ankles. Okay, Craig Ship is here from Frederick, Maryland, or Thurmont. Welcome.
Hello.
Craig.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Did you spend $17 on your pre-show snack?
No, but I do have my Chromecast here, which we can talk about later.
I'm sure. You will sing its praises. There's me and me. We're having some minor technical glitches here. We have Jody Raines. Jody, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great to have you with us. I see you have your yoga stand again.
Yeah, I do. And just as an aside, Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. It's the day to fast and to repent for sins. So evidently, Alan has a lot of sins to repent and atone for.
Well, one of the things he'll say in the show tonight, because we discussed in one of the segments, is that he thinks he's sometimes too aggressive in these hangouts. And so I'm like, you think that not eating anything for 24 hours is going to make you less aggressive?
Might make him more aggressive.
That's what I'm thinking, low blood sugar. In Augusta, Georgia, Mr. Michael Banks, welcome.
Hello.
Good to have you with us. You're moving around like a kid who has to pee. Are you on your ball again?
Yes, I am.
Can we see it? The giant exercise, is it exercise ball? What exactly? It's a Leo Laporte ball, right? He should sell branded ones. There you go.
Yeah, I want to be like Craig, so I had a blue ball in the Hangouts.
There you go.
It's the only sad thing is that I got that before Pam did. Joining
I
us,
was just muted.
Oh, okay. Joining us. This is not the first time you've probably been muted, Pam. Joining us from the Emerald Isle, wearing his Irish shirt in honor of the occasion, is Mr. Moritz Tolksdorf from Google. Welcome, sir.
Always a pleasure, even on Friday 13.
Absolutely. And from Menifee, California, and her what? Not the bidet. What is it? It's
Yeah,
like
I'm sitting on my bidet. No, Casita.
that would be very convenient.
Yeah, I mean the show does go 4 hours. Might as well just sit on the pot the whole time, right?
I mean, you're
Just wrong.
it's not physically possible for you to use an astronaut tube, so a bidet would work, right? All right. So anyway, having
From my
embarrassed,
casita.
we tried to embarrass the entire panel prior to the show, and mission accomplished, as they say. at
They're
NASA.
dropping out one by one.
I know. That was Alex. Send our regards to Alex Moritz. Okay, so
He's like, I'm out of here.
I know. He's like,
I
okay.
think we lost Bruce too, though.
I can't-
Bruce dropped out too.
Okay, so our first topic is Google Plus tools for authors, and this is something we discussed with I had a conversation with our wonderful panelist Alan Furstenberg, an exclusive conversation you can only see on Google Plus Week, and let's check it out now. Here we go. Okay, so I understand there are some new tools for WordPress users. And in fact, I was just talking to you on the other on the phone yesterday or the day before about embedding posts in a website. And even though we love Google Plus, a lot of folks have other websites and they want to have more features. Like I remember when TechCrunch had the commenting system from Facebook, and they put that on there, and then they went back to, I think, Discuss or something else, or from Discuss. But folks want to integrate social stuff to their websites, specifically in this case WordPress. So tell us what's going on.
Right. So this tool actually is beyond WordPress. What this is Google Plus has tied in the Google Plus login to what they have been calling their authorship program. So this is how people with blogs have been able to get some of those premium-looking listings in Google search. Now what they've done is they've made Google Plus sign-in connected to this authorship program. So if you're using sites that have Google Plus sign-in, and WordPress.com is the first one, and they've invited other sites to do it as well, you'll be able to have this premium authorship listing. So that's a big win for people who publish on all sorts of blogs out there. It's going to be pretty exciting to see just how Google Plus sign-in kind of integrates with all of these things, and it's certainly one big boost for people to kind of push people towards using Google Plus sign-in again.
What is the advantage of? I mean, what is the impact for a site owner? Why would you want? Is it just to make it easier? But you don't control the relationship, right?
Google Plus sign-in gives you a lot of things. It gives, as a site owner, it gives you a lot of additional tools, and we've talked about some of those tools in the past. As an author on one of these sites, what it does is it'll create it basically, when Google goes and indexes your article, it means that your article will show up in a kind of premium location on Google search results. It'll show up with your picture next to it. It'll show up with your profile linked to it. So really, it's a lot of extra free advertising for you as an author.
So what they're doing, I mean, they're pushing Google Plus, and you're kind of riding that wave, I guess.
Well, they're pushing a lot of things.
Yeah. But
yes, it's one more wave that authors are going to be able to ride. What Google is trying to emphasize more and more, and that's Google Plus.
So you're for this, obviously.
Yeah.
We thought we'd start off on a positive topic.
I think this is, for once. I'm trying to be more positive, and we'll see how well that goes for the rest of the evening. But this is certainly one way that they're kind of showing sites and showing people what the benefits of a Google Plus sign-in are, and this is just making it one additional tool in your tool chest.
Awesome. And we're back. And I'm wearing contacts again. Okay, so anybody want to comment on the Google authorship tools that Alan that we all watched Alan talk about? I swear to God, I've watched it. I've read. I really don't get it. I know Michael's a big expert on this topic. So you can embed your posts or the automatic authorship to WordPress and TypePad. And do you think we're going to see more? You've got a what's your blog, Michael Banks? It's is it on Blogger, or what is it on? Is it a WordPress thing?
It used to be on Blogger, but I moved it to WordPress. And before this came out, the authorship came out, I had to do authorship the old school manual way, where you used to have to tell Google the author of every page you want it to do. Now, with this new feature, it'll automatically do that for you. So any website or anything that you use to embed or the Google sign-in plugin, then it will automatically tell you that, hey, you are the author of this page, and it will automatically use authorship in your behalf.
Okay, is his audio strange for everybody, or just is it my board?
Strange.
Okay. Okay, cool. So if I were audio, it would be like that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So any other comments on this topic?
I use WordPress, Dan, and what I find really, really helpful is the ability to have it integrated with Google+. As you know, Google is the foremost search engine, and when you post things on Google+, they get a lot more attention. So the ability to integrate, I think, is a huge step forward.
I
It makes it
agree.
a lot easier.
I agree. And I'm pretending to know what the hell this. I mean, I don't know.
Next.
I looked at it.
It might
I looked
also
at
have.
it.
It might also increase ranking and stuff like that, because now if you're on one platform, right, your blog is one result, but now if you're able to link it to your Google Plus profile or any other Google services or whatever, it might boost your ranking by adding that additional. I'm not quite sure. I'm definitely not an SEO expert. So
None of us have a freaking clue.
although
it's cool and stuff.
Good Night Dessert is number 3 with Google. So
What is?
Good Night Dessert?
Oh, that's one of your evening. That's your evening sign off.
Yeah,
At least your social media evening sign off.
yeah.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
and I think Pam makes a very good point, and that to the extent that everybody's always fighting for ranking, but there's been this ongoing kind of like fight between Facebook and Google for the social ranking, and we also know that there's been a diffusion of the delineation between search and social, so it just kind of further blurs that line and makes social so much more a part of search. I mean, I just see it as all moving in a direction where I think David Amerlin calls it semantic search, but it just makes it that much easier to get stuff ranked, and I think it also puts Google in a much stronger position, since so many people. I think the last statistic I saw was something like 27% of all websites are built on WordPress, so it definitely puts Google in a very strong and powerful position.
Just to clarify, that was a fusion of the delineation or a delineation of the fusion. Oh my God.
Don't even try.
You're a born writer. I'm an editor. I'm a newspaper editor, and it's hard to impress me with your linguistic skills, and you have done so. So good for you. All right. So the Pulitzer.
Oh, I thought
So-
maybe you were going to edit it out.
This is supposed to work with other platforms other than WordPress, right?
Mhm.
Isn't that
Yeah, but it's a plugin for WordPress.
okay? But I thought these same tools, Michael, is this the thing you gave me the link on a while back?
The one I gave you a while back was how to do it manually. Now you can manually do this on many other websites.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. I looked at it and I tried to dig into it a little bit because I'm kind of clueless, but I couldn't make heads or tails of it.
It is a doozy manually, but this way makes it a lot easier. It automatically does like half the work for you.
Okay. I have a WordPress blog, one of them. Maybe I'll take a look at it.
Is TypePad another platform? It also works with that, according to the article.
Yep.
So.
Does it work with Blogger?
Yes.
So how do I do it with Blogger? How do I implement it with my Blogger accounts?
It actually is sort of baked in the Blogger. So once you link your Google Plus, start using comments and stuff, it'll automatically do that.
You have actually a little checkbox in your options, in your settings, where you can say if you want to auto share the stuff or not. Otherwise, you will get like a pop-up that will ask you if you want to share it, or you can completely disable it.
Oh, okay. Because when in the past when it has popped up and asked me if I wanted to share it, I haven't shared it because I share it separately on Google Plus. So I don't want to do that then, or I shouldn't be doing it that way. Is that correct?
Up to you.
It's up to you, exactly. So I can actually show it to you. If I can find it. It's somewhere. Hang on. Talk about something else until I find it.
Maybe this explains why I don't get any traffic on Google Plus, but I get a ton of traffic on Facebook.
Yeah, you said right crap, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
so I think I'm going to move on. I'm going to make an executive decision here.
Absolutely.
Okay, I found it.
I fear we'll lose our viewer.
It doesn't matter, Moritz. It doesn't matter. We'll move
Go ahead,
on.
Moritz. Moritz, go ahead. quickly before we lose our viewer.
or singular.
So basically, in your Blogger settings, let me do a screen share real quick. You have on the left, you have this Google Plus section there, and you can connect your Google Plus profile or page to it. I think only profile. And then you see here those checkboxes, and you can see like automatically share after posting, or prompt to share after posting, and like the Google Plus comments integration. These are the three options you can control, and you can decide if like you want to like just push out your posts automatically to Google Plus, or if you want to get prompted for each post you do, if you want to share it to Google Plus, or if you just want to post it on your blog.
So, which is the best option for SEO of those three? Use the first and the last, like you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just push your post out to Google Plus simultaneously when you post on your blog, and use the Google Plus comment integration, so you have everything in one place and connected.
That's what
But
I'll do
Craig,
right now.
that's an interesting question that you asked about which would be best for SEO, because it's like semantics is the new black. So the reality is that according to what the changes have been with Google right now with search engine optimization, has to do with the less you make it look like you're optimizing, the better it is for optimizing. It has to do with links. It has to do with content. Just about everything, which is kind of funny.
But do we even really know what it has all to do with? Do they even really tell us?
Of course, they don't tell us, except unless you watch Matt Cutts.
So we probably don't really know for sure.
Nobody knows for sure.
Yeah.
Only the shadow knows.
On that note, okay. Oh my God.
Where's Alan when we need him?
I need cyanide ASAP. I'm gonna call Domino's.
And you guys thought I was bad,
Okay, so
You
All right.
are.
yeah, oh yeah.
which is why I stayed muted.
So we don't hear the bidet flushing or whatever. All right, so next up, topic 2 is something I actually understand and know about, and this is something I discussed extensively with Craig, and I mentioned Craig in this segment, which he hasn't seen and probably won't see. But you can embed your Google Plus posts on your own website. So let's hear what Alan has to say about that, and then we will discuss it in 8 minutes. Okay, so topic 2 is you can now, I briefly hinted on this. You could tell I've really gone through all the topic lists at 4:30 in the afternoon.
As always, Dan, we know how sharp and on top of these things you are today.
Absolutely. So I asked you for advice on this, and I tested it. You can now, if you're on, like I guess Mike Elgin coined the term Mike Elgin diet, or the Google Plus diet, where you originate your blogging on Google Plus, and then filter it out from there, and rather than putting it on a Blogger site or WordPress site and then linking to it. And in the first segment, you mentioned a lot of things. There are benefits to doing that because stuff will show up in search results if you're posting publicly, and if you're not, you should be. So anyway, now you can create a post, and I tested this. I posted the it was, I think, 50th anniversary of the We're Gonna Go to the Moon. Not because it's easy, but because it's it's not easy. We're doing it because it's hard.
Kennedy's speech at Rice University, excellent speech.
So I just took that post and I embedded it on our website, and it worked. It's fantastic. It shows you comments. If you're logged in, you can comment right there. With photographs, though, it actually doesn't display a slideshow there. It takes you to the Google Plus post. But with the video, I think it'll play it in there. If it's a single picture and text, it works fine. So that's a really convenient. And it obeys things like if it's private or shared only with a circle. If one of those people happens to be looking at your site, they'll see it, but nobody else would. And if you edit it, it updates the post everywhere. So there's some real neat advantages. And so tell us what you think about it. And I'm curious. We were thinking about. I was thinking, Craig Shipp and I were discussing ways this could be relevant, and one of the ways was, what if a restaurant had a post on their page for their their special of the day, or soup of the day. They could just edit that Google Plus post, and it would go live on any site that had embedded it, right? It would
Yeah.
update it.
One,
That's
one of the
wonderful. What do you think about it in general, and what are some applications that you think would be relevant for this? This is exciting.
it is exciting. There are two elements to this, and they're both kind of important, and they're both really significant. The first is that from any post, you now have as one of the drop-down menus in the upper right-hand corner of a post. You'll see a little down arrow. You can click on it. One of the menu options is embed this post. And if you click on that, it'll give you some code that you can put into your own website. The other thing is you don't really need that. All you need to do is to know the post identifier, and Google's API page talks a bit about how to do that. And once you have that information, you can basically just edit your website to automatically embed a post. And this is exciting in so many ways. I've already seen a lot of people talking about how they're going to use this. So you can use it on things like, put up your most recent promotions. You're going to post them first on Google+, and they can show up on your website. You're essentially turning your website into a mirror of your Google+ stream. And that could be really cool in a lot of ways. One of the things that Gerwin demonstrated, and it was an idea that I had as well, but he demonstrated it perfectly, is how you can make it so that you use the existing Google+ API to do searches for posts on a topic, on a thread that are yours, that are somebody else's. Have the top 5 of those automatically pulled onto a web page, and then use this embed feature to show the post, and the post shows up just like it looks like on Google+. That's cool, that's powerful, and it also happens to be imitating Facebook, but that's another story.
Could you? So you could do. You're saying do the code to show like the 5 most recent posts.
Yeah, this
in
is
the same way that I think people set it up to where your most recent or your HOA, if you were live, it would automatically show up on your website.
Sort of. This is actually the same way that something like Comment Tracker works right now, where it will track updates to comments or new posts that come in matching a search result. Using that same technology, instead of printing it as a bit of text, embed the whole post. You can use this embed technology in the same way. And Gerwin and I have actually talked about, does he want Comment Tracker to use this embed technology instead? And there are some pros and cons to it, but on a website, this is immensely powerful. You see a lot of websites, for example, that show their Twitter stream. Mm-hmm. This is the same sort of thing, but you can make it so that it shows your latest Google+ post in big, rich, full detail. Make it so the video just shows up there. Make it so that you're promoting the pictures, but when they look at the pictures, they go to Google+. That's all pretty neat and exciting. This is a pretty exciting technology. There are caveats, and they're really disappointing caveats. And I really hope to see them fix those caveats soon, but it's pretty cool.
What about the second part of my question? The soup of the day post, special of the day, and they could update the post and it automatically updates, and they don't have to go mess with their website. Because it's often easier to post on Google Plus than it is your own WordPress site or whatever.
Absolutely.
What are some other applications you can think of?
Absolutely. And this is the sort of thing where, this is why a lot of us have been pushing for an API for so long. Because really what you want to do is you want to do things in the easiest way possible and have them spread everywhere. This is one tiny, tiny step in that sort of direction. I haven't tested it with how it will work with edits. If it does work with edits, that is really awesome, because that's even better than a Google Plus share, which doesn't propagate the edits. So that'll be neat to see how it works. The fact that you can comment directly on it means that you now have a commenting system built in. So this, in some ways, and this ties in a little bit with our next subject.
Well, could you make it auto post? For example, let's say if it could auto post on your website. In other words, it would monitor your feed, right, and stick it up there. Let's say there's breaking news built into my Android phone. I can take a picture. I can share. You can do this with iOS too, but Android
take a picture, share it to Google Plus, add a little bit of text, and it'll magically show up on your website.
On your breaking news blog. Like these guys who go and are covering like the Apple events where there's no live streaming video, and everyone's like taking still pictures and they're putting text and they're documenting it in still on blogs. The Verge is probably the best out there at this. But you could do the same thing. You could take a picture and click share to Google Plus. Steve Jobs just walked. Well, a few years ago, Steve Jobs just walked on stage.
If Steve Jobs just walked on stage,
Yeah,
that would be news.
That would be worth sharing. Then it would automatically populate. You could say like our blog. We're live blogging the event, and it's just putting up Google Plus posts because it's a lot easier for me than to try to put it on my WordPress site.
It's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. There are some issues with doing it. The biggest one is that you actually will need to run some stuff on your site to do it. But Gerwin has demonstrated it's possible.
I'm sure Gerwin and guys like you and him are going to come up with like WordPress plugins for this.
I'm sure people are going to be, coming up with the plugins, coming up with the different technologies. There was a post I saw that Mike Elgin shared about all of the different ways that this is an indispensable tool for people who are, producing really cool websites. And there's all sorts of things you can do with it. I really can't wait to see what our panel and what people out there can think of to do with it.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll see what that panel thinks about this. Okay, so I'm going to demo what we're talking about here, and this is one of our sites, WarrenCountyVA.com, and then I'm going to go to my Google Plus profile, and I'm just going to pick a post here. I'll pick this post because I went to the store and I was really hungry and I bought all this crap, and then I ate something and I wasn't hungry and I was like, what in God's name did I buy? Because I never buy stuff like that. So food is a drug, in fact. So you click up here and you the little down arrow where you can view post activity, edit post, delete post, etc. And you have this new option here, embed post. Now, what's weird is there's this thing here. It says place this tag in your head or just before your closed body tag, and it tells you that don't paste that in your post. Go down here, place this tag where you want the widget to render, and so I'm gonna grab that code right there and then copy, and then I'm gonna go to my website, and I'm gonna go to articles, and then I'm gonna say submit an article, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say this is a test, and description. I bought too much food. And then author Dan. And then, oh my God. Home and garden. It's not going to go live. Okay, so we're going to make this hold. And I'll pick a site, WarrenCountyVA.com. And then I'm going to go to source, right, to put HTML code in. Right there. And then I'm gonna let's view this thing, and here is the post, right? So now it's left centered. So just real quick, I'm gonna go back. I forgot. I'll put a center tag in here. And then let's view it again. Now, here. You got the post, and it's completely embedded the Google Plus post into my website post with the comments, right? 17 comments, 21 plus ones, and then you can view activity. If you're logged in, then you can comment on the post. Okay, so let's see what it looks like if I do an incognito window. This may or may not work. I'm not sure, to be honest. I may have to be logged in the site since it's a test post. Okay, here we go. So this is if a user to your if a visitor to your site is not logged into Google Plus. Let's see. It'll say sign in. Okay, it makes them sign in, but they can still, even if they're not logged in, they can still drop down and look at all the comments. And I'm still right on the site here, WarrenCountyVA.com.
They just can't comment on it.
Correct, but they can view it. Now, what we discovered was it does not work if you have a picture slideshow. It'll actually take you to the post. But if you have a YouTube video or just a single photo and text, they could expand the post if it were more than 2 lines. This is a really cool feature. And Craig, I mentioned to Alan in the segment that we just watched that you could use this. I suggested a restaurant with a special of the day, and they could just update their Google Plus post, and it would automatically update on their web page. So, Craig, what do you think? We've been thinking about different use cases for this. This is a pretty powerful feature, I think. What are your thoughts on this? And Alan, in the segment, mentioned that you should be able that the developers like Gerwin and guys, they're going to come up with WordPress plugins and different things that will show like the latest posts. Like it'll automatically put the last 5 posts. And in the segment I mentioned that if you were covering a breaking news event, it'd be so much easier if you could just take a picture, click, share to Google Plus. I'm here at the demonstration and they've just set fire to the city hall, whatever it is that you're covering. And then, or it could be a happy occasion, whatever it is. The prom queen has just been crowned or whatever. And this would also appear on your website automatically. So it would refresh just like our comment tracker does. So I think this is a very powerful feature.
Or think about like of those live coverages like during the iPhone.
Exactly, because you don't have live streaming video. They're all having to take a picture and then transfer it to their device. It's a pain in the ass. So, explain how this could work with a developer like you or Gerwin, Moritz. How you could develop something to where use that specific use case scenario. You're at an Apple event that's not live streamed, and you want to do like a live blog or live coverage on your website, and so you're originating the post on Google Plus, and what would happen from there?
Yeah, so Alan mentioned that in the segment as well. Like, we can use or can make use of the Google Plus API, and we have a searchability there, so you can search for specific posts and then grab those posts, use the embed feature, and embed those posts automatically in your stream or on your page. And the same goes for like a profile. You can just set up a page for that purpose, and you like monitor the stream, and whenever there's a new post coming in, you refresh the page like every 30 seconds or something, and you will always have like the latest post on the stream, or you have like your own kind of Google Plus stream on your page. These are all possibilities you can do with the API. I haven't.
So Moritz, let me ask you a specific question then. Let's say that it is a restaurant, and let's say that they want to basically have these posts appear right on their web page. And so they could embed something on their web page that says that any post with a particular hashtag, for example, appears there. And then what they do is they just go to Google Plus and they make a posting and they put some kind of really strange, hashtag that nobody else would use, right?
Right.
And then you're telling me that post would then feed right into their web page?
Yeah, if you use the search API for Google Plus and you search for that hashtag, you can make that work. But with hashtags, it's a bit insecure because once people
other people
out, they could like inject posts into your page by using the hashtags. So it's not that. Simple. I would always like make it in the combination, like setting up a page that you just use for that purpose, and whenever you publish a post there, it would show up.
Oh, so that would be the easier way. Yeah, just create a page,
it's
and then
more
they
safe.
post, and it would show up. And then you could define, okay, I want the 3 most recent posts to show on my page.
Yeah, you can do that.
Because you're not going to want it to be like all of them, right?
Yeah, you can make like a top 5 or like the recent activity and have like that last 5 posts listed there. Like you have it in a lot of WordPress plugins and stuff like that. Only difference is that they have like a real full, rich experience of the full post. You can +1, you can comment, you can reshare. Straight from the website without even leaving it. And I think this is another benefit for webmasters and people that run their business and rely on like traffic on their websites, because now you embed the Google Plus experience on your page, and people are not getting redirected to Google Plus to watch the post there. And the example I use is like The Verge is telling about something and is referring to posts on Google Plus, and they usually like put in a link. People click on it, they go to Google Plus and probably keep on reading on Google Plus, and the traffic got redirected from the original page to Google Plus.
And you can lose it.
Website owner, you want to keep people on your website.
Yeah.
And now you just embed the post. People can engage with the post, comment, and +1, and then continue reading and browsing your own site instead of going to Google Plus and maybe get lost there.
Well, and this is a good way to set it up so that your client, let's say you're building these web pages for people, like Dan's building web pages for small businesses, a plumber, painter, whatever. And this way he can make the rest of the page look real nice and all that, and then he can just take in one section, embed a Google Plus post, like he said for like the daily specials at a restaurant, for example. And then the restaurant can just go in and just update that, and then they're not going to mess up the rest of the page. They're just editing something that's very easy to edit. Just putting in a comment, basically, is all they're doing. And, here's my Tuesday special, and they're done.
Unfortunately, one thing is not working at the moment. I don't know if that will come or not, but event posts are not working. So you can't embed an event post, even though you have the option in the dropdown on Google+. But I tried it, and whenever I embedded an event post, it was not showing up. But I think it would be great to have that because, imagine you are setting up an event and you have like an external website for this event, and you can embed the event post there with all the details and the guest list, and people can comment on there. So this would be nice to have probably in the future.
So
Dan,
if someone comments on your blog post or from the embedded post on your blog, it doesn't show up on Google Plus, right?
Yes, it does.
It does.
If you post
Yes.
on the embedded post, it's synced with Google+.
It's really neat, Pam. You for example, let's say you had, I don't know, whatever, like you're into, what is it, bioengineering or what the hell? It's some crazy ass term. What is it?
For what?
You're the business you're in, your job. It's bio.
Just biotechnology.
Okay, biotechnology. So
Yeah.
let's say you had, Pam's take on biotechnology.com, whatever.
Yeah.
Craig would chastise me for suggesting that as a URL because it's too long. But and then you would, do a post about biotech, and then you'd put it on there. Anybody who's logged into Google Plus, who just visits your website, which may have predated your experience with Google Plus, right? They stumble upon that. If they comment there, then they can comment right on that on your website, and they're actually commenting on Google Plus as well. You can edit the Google Plus post, and it updates the next time someone refreshes. It may update live. I think it did, Craig, right? Didn't you add a comment?
The comments appear live. I don't know about if you edit the post.
Yeah, so it's really cool. It's actually like Google Plus is living as a part of the website. Now Facebook has this same feature. They're slightly different, but this is really
Well,
cool.
there's a big difference, Dan. The
And
big
also,
difference-
whatever comments people make on the Google Plus post are also shown on your blog page.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
They're the same thing.
They are the
But
same
there's
thing.
a big
Okay.
difference with Facebook. There's a big problem with trying to do the same thing with Facebook, and that is if somebody goes to comment, it takes them to Facebook. They can't comment on it on your web page.
This
They can
is-
like it. There's things they can do, but if they go to comment, it's going to take them to Facebook, which for me that's a deal killer.
Well, it's the same with this. If you're going to use a video or what was the other thing that you can't?
I think a video
We didn't
will play,
test the
won't it?
video. Dan, you didn't test the video, did you?
You guys, okay. Well, I can do that real quick. Let me.
don't think we tested-
Alan said it didn't work with the video and something else, and I couldn't.
It doesn't
I can't
work with a
remember.
slideshow. It works with a still
Yeah.
image. With one
Still-
still image, it works.
I'm gonna
for
try
sure.
it right now. I'm sharing my screen for the viewers. I'm gonna click.
Dan,
Go ahead. Keep talking, Craig.
While you're doing that, when you get a chance, can you do a write up on our website telling how to use all this, especially
Yes,
telling how to
yes.
create a page and then embed the last 4 postings from a page on there?
Oh,
Because
that
that's a-
has not been done yet. I mean, that's something that's not been.
Well,
created yet.
supposedly that can be done according
Yeah,
to
but-
Moritz.
Right, but that has to be done. I mean, it's not the developers.
That's what I'm
have to
saying.
make
But
that
if
up.
that can be done, that's huge because that way you're in effect showing them how they can put the 3 latest postings on
you
their
see that a
webpage
lot.
at
As,
any
as
given
Alan
time.
mentioned, you see that a lot on with Twitter, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and you can't schedule a post for later.
Yeah, that's
So it has to
utilizing the
be
search
instant.
API.
So it's working fine with the video. Here my blog
No,
post.
Mort's just did it, and it works fine with the video. If you click, they'll play the video right there, Mort's.
Yeah, I'm testing it. I've got one up here. I'm testing actually our show live.
Mort's got
Let's see if
his
it
up
works.
faster than you.
Yeah, it
Can't
works
make note of
fine.
that.
It works great. Except you can't go live. I'm not sure. I guess you have to click over to YouTube.
Well, I can't. At the moment, I can't click anything. Maybe that's because I'm in preview.
Their preview page. That's
Yeah, it works. You can play a video. The only thing that I've seen that you cannot do that actually takes you away is if you have a more than one photo and it becomes a slideshow, and that's not an embeddable experience yet. And I'm guessing that's a technical glitch, right?
You
Or
think
they
that will
haven't
be?
developed- I don't know.
Morris, do you think that will be?
Probably.
Because
As
that'll
usual,
be
I
even
can't
better.
comment on that.
Actually, if he can put a slideshow in there,
They're probably
That would be
working
even
on
better.
it. It's probably just they haven't, it's not an.
Let me look for a post with several pictures. So here are 5.
No, we tried it, and what it does is if you click on the photo, it actually takes you back to the original Google Plus post.
Oh, okay.
And you can see the slideshow there, just because it's not an embeddable experience yet. Just like
It
the,
would be
the-
better to have like a light box right on your blog where you can like skip through the pictures.
But yeah, exactly, just like the questions
Yeah.
app. I'm sure that I would speculate that they would eventually make the questions app experience, which we're about to talk about shortly, the questions app experience for Hangouts on Air to be embeddable on a website and also viewable on YouTube. But it's not yet. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's just there are a lot of things and how to, all the different destinations they have to consider and how to do it, that it's more complicated than the questions app experience in its current form. So, and also they don't want to screw with YouTube, which has a somewhat different audience, and they get lots of pushback every time they do anything. They change, you change one comma on YouTube in the UI, and people freak out. So they got to make sure they do it right, or else, because that's a big deal. Any other thoughts on this, Pam or let me see who's still here. Pam, Moritz. I guess Bruce is. His ghost is here.
Yeah.
I don't have a real blog. I have a Tumblr blog, but it's like
That doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
wait,
yeah.
you can't embed this in a Tumblr post?
I could probably go from Google Plus to Tumblr, but I definitely can't go from Tumblr to Google Plus.
No, but I
Because
mean,
it's
why
an
wouldn't
adult.
you be able to embed a Google Plus post in Tumblr?
Well, first of all, you need to add this first script line in your head, and I'm pretty sure that
we
you
didn't
can
do it.
modify that part in.
You don't
We
have
didn't
to,
do
Moritz.
We
In
didn't do
fact-
it.
Yeah,
No?
in fact, we found a niche, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is an edge case, or maybe it's not. But when you click on embed, I'm going to share my screen for the viewers. When you go to a Google Plus post, and the initial thing here, it says place this tag in the head or just before your closed body tag, and then it says place this tag where you want the widget to render. We didn't know how to get to the HTML head, and so I pasted this. I experimented several different ways, so I just pasted this entire thing, and the help files say just click embed this and copy the code into your site, and it'll work. And it doesn't work if you paste the head script that says type text JavaScript source, and it has the +1.js whatever. And if you paste the whole thing, the post will not work. So you have to ignore the top part, and only the part that says place this tag where you want the widget to render. You only paste this part, or it won't work. But it does work if you just completely ignore this top part.
Which is something that
Could not be
Yeah.
more confusing to the
But
average
then you
user.
probably have
really
the
need-
+1.js integrated in some way, because otherwise it would not work.
No, his site is 100% homegrown, coded from scratch, right, Craig? I mean, this is not.
I
a
can
WordPress site.
put it to a test right now. So
We can.
continue.
Alan's got the source code to our site if you want to prove us wrong, but it worked.
The YouTube comments are all about how hard this is to watch.
I apologize. In the past, when we've had a stuttering stream or other really bad issues, and I apologize, it's beyond our control, right? We had a Googler. We have Moritz helped us out, and we got the. Alex was in the beginning. I didn't make a big deal. I didn't introduce him or anything because he's working at Google, but he was in the beginning, and they're working on it, and hopefully. But every time we've had this happen before, the actual recorded stream was fine, and so as if it's any consolation, you should be able to watch it later and have it be correct, because in the past where I've dumped a broadcast because we were getting issues. When I went back and watched the first half and the second, they were both fine. So it's a streaming. I suspect it's a streaming issue. It's not a recording issue. So fingers crossed. This isn't a throwaway episode. So there. Any other thoughts on this ability?
This is huge. This is huge. They just need to clean up that interface a little bit. There's no reason to make that code confusing.
It's going to cause a lot more people to join, to upgrade or join Google Plus, right? Because folks are going to want to comment. Because look, we have our sites. WarrenCountyVA.com is a fairly recent site, so it doesn't have all the activity that it'll have in a year or 2 years from now. But I've got a lot of interaction on Google Plus, so I can post something on WarrenCountyVA.com, and it's got a local audience, but it doesn't have the worldwide audience that I have on Google Plus. So by doing that, all those comments and plus ones and everything are exposed, and it's exposing all of the local folks in Warren County to Google Plus. And the only way that they can interact on that widget is to create a Google account or upgrade the Google account to Google Plus. And so I think it's a big win for Google Plus, in addition to being a very cool way for us to put content on our websites, because frankly, posting something on Google Plus is a lot simpler than posting something on our sites or on WordPress or any other, Drupal or any other thing that I've seen. Do you agree with that, Craig?
Well, absolutely. It's a good way. Back years ago, when I was setting up websites for clients, I would tell them, look at your website as a brochure, an online brochure of your company that doesn't change that often, and then link to, for example, a blog or Twitter account or something like that, and that's where you update often, because it's not easy to update your website, right? But now you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have your beautiful web page or website or whatever, and then embed in various sections of that, embed a post or a feed of posts like we were just talking about, and then they go to Google Plus and they post something, and then it just automatically is just right there on their website, very easy. So they get the best of both worlds. They get a complicated website that's good looking and all that they don't know how to edit and they don't know how to do anything to, and those parts just stay like that. And then they have the variable content is a feed like this that's basically inserted into the website. A fantastic solution, and quite frankly, if the Area Guides Network starts using this for a lot of our dynamic web pages, it will absolutely put Google Plus on the map.
Basically, we're going to...
Wait. Craig said something positive? Do we have to, send him some money or something?
I told Dan when I first saw this, I was super impressed with it, and I said that we could use this and we could definitely get more
Now,
uptake
initially,
for
you were a
Google
bit
Plus.
frustrated at the little bug, but
Well, yeah,
you did. But once we got it working, we were like, "Wow, this is really freaking cool."
So then, here, just to correct what you said earlier. So here is just very simple website. It's just HTML head, body, stuff, and I just copied in the diff part of the embed snippet that you get prompted to, and I haven't added the +1 JS file, and as you can see here above, there's nothing showing up. It's a blank page. And as soon as I add the JavaScript file and I refresh, bam, the post is there. So as I said, you need the JavaScript, and if you just paste the div into your website, you probably have embedded the +1.js somewhere else because you're using the +1 button on your page already, or stuff like that. So if
So
you're
could
using,
it be, could that +1 page or whatever, could that be on like the home page of the site and that would still be good enough?
yeah, as long as when you're using the +1 button, you probably have already added the +1.js in some way to your website, and it's in the head. So in every
So
contaminated
basically,
is-
Moritz, when he added it again, did that step on it for some reason and make it not work?
no, it will just call the last one. That's
Well, then why, when he added all the code, did it not work?
Who knows? But you see, it works.
it should work.
Can you try it again, Dan, with all the code and see if it'll work this time with all the code?
I am.
But usually people have like already a +1 button or a
Yeah.
Google Plus widget incorporated in the website,
You
and that
guys
means
really
they have-
want to do that during the show?
Yeah, I think this
I
might.
just
be,
explain it because people want to probably use it.
Because this is a big thing, Pam. This is big. This is going to put Google Plus on the map. Now, I
I mean-
know that some of you all want to keep this to yourselves and
Okay.
want to keep it
Well,
your own
no, I
little
mean Moritz
sandbox.
Okay,
Moritz is sharing it for everybody.
All right, Moritz.
so-
I'm gonna do a. Let me send you a. Which one are we in now? God, there's been so many things here. Are we in the one that Bruce just said I can almost smell the oats in the barn from here? Is that the one? Okay, I'm gonna post it in there. Go to this URL, Moritz, and look at the source code. And can you do a simple text search to see if that JavaScript is in that source?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so he's gonna check that. What he's gonna do is
Well,
I-
Dan, why don't you do another test post on our site and just
that-
take
that's
all
what
the
I'm
code?
doing. That's what I'm doing. Hang on. I'm gonna see if I've just created it. I created another test post that is working with the widget embedded, and then I shared the link in the our little pop-up chat. I don't even, what is it called? A Hangout? What the hell
No,
is it
Dan,
called?
yes, you have it embedded because what do you have at the end of the site? You have the +1 button.
Ah, that's why it
There
worked.
you have the JavaScript embedded.
Okay, so here's the question, Moritz. If we go to this thing, if we say embed this post, wow, why can't I embed the post again?
Yeah, and just get all the code and try it again with
yeah,
all
let me
the
try
code.
that.
and-
So I'm gonna copy the whole thing with this JavaScript head thing and the widget text, and then I'm gonna put that in the post, and then say view article.
I mean, basically, they give the instructions in the snippet. You know, like they say, like add this +1 to like either the head or right at the end before you close the body tag.
But why would
If you've already
if you-
done that with the +1 button or any other widget,
Okay, but he's
Already
adding it
do
all
that.
now. We want to see if it works.
yeah,
if he
okay.
What we're saying, Moritz, is so he has a +1 button at the bottom, which is so that same thing is already there.
Right.
And then if I just follow the Google Help instructions that say click embed your post, copy that code and stick it in there and it'll work, which is exactly what I did, it doesn't work because apparently if you put that in the post, the post doesn't render. It could be
Try it again, Dan. Did you
I'm
try
doing it
this
now.
year?
It's on the screen, Craig. You just can't see it. I've done it. Yeah. So
So it doesn't work.
it does not work.
Is it still the same
Yeah.
address? No, it's not.
Yeah. So in other words, if you have that in your header text or your footer text, and you click as the Google Help, I mean, where's the?
Can you send me a link to that preview thing you're sharing?
Sure. This is really getting in the weeds now, boy. We're gonna lose our viewer again.
Yeah, sorry if I bore you guys.
Okay,
well, but
so this
I
is
mean,
the tech.
it's
Okay.
worth sorting this out because it is a big deal. This is
So
a
if I
big
go to
deal.
Google
This-
Plus Help here, embed. Okay, I'm just gonna do.
It's embedding for me.
I just shared the link there.
Yeah, I just clicked it and it's loading for me.
Really?
Yes, just fine. Let me have a look at the source code. If the
It says test8a2396.html question mark.
2369, yeah?
2396.
Yeah.
Let me refresh, because I couldn't get it and Craig couldn't get it. Now it's working.
I got it both times. Yeah.
Maybe, what the hell?
Yeah, and the +1JS is twice in there. Yeah, it works.
Maybe it was just a glitch earlier, Dan.
I mean, I shared it as I did it and it didn't work. But now it's working.
I mean, technically it should work because usually, like when
I just
the
did it
browser
again,
is
it
going
doesn't
through
work
the
the
source
first
code,
time.
it like sees okay JavaScript first, like, the first +1JS, and then goes to the next one, and it.
I'll refresh. I
put them
just
both,
did
but
it again.
shouldn't
And
conflict.
it doesn't come up, and then I hit F5 refresh. Let's see if it comes up. Now it comes up. So you have to F5 the second time. What a weird edge case. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but usually it should
obviously,
just work. Just copy and paste the code into your website, and it should just work.
I think we've lost our viewer for sure.
Anyway, let's continue on.
Are we good? Any other comments on this ratings bonanza of a topic?
If anyone
This is
who's
a-
watching has more questions about that, feel free to reach out to
This
me.
is a killer feature. This is big.
Yeah, this is awesome. Craig, this
This-
is rare praise from Craig. Let me
This
tell you.
is the absolute opposite of this.
He's gonna
Okay,
troll the
just-
freaking Comcast.
You
By
mean
the way,
this?
by the way, Craig, I just ordered 3 more of those.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to have
Yeah, I'm
a
looking here.
reboxing party here.
We should give one away and call it the annual Craig Ship Chromecast prize. Just so you
Yeah,
guys
By the way,
can
great,
see
great
the-
comment from Kevin here. He doesn't blame me for the video, so thanks for that.
I could listen to you
Not
talk
my
all night
fault.
long, Moritz.
Seriously not.
It's like Hogan's Heroes reruns or something. It's like the video. I love it. So for folks, okay, real quick question before we, Moritz, before we go to the next topic, which I think is another one I don't really understand. I'm hoping you can hook me up on. But Moritz, I got a comment from someone in a European country. I saw it briefly, and I had like 300 notifications, and I didn't have time to research where he was from. But tell me what countries, because when we switched to YouTube Live, he was upset because he can't watch the show live anymore, and he wanted to know if we could do a Hangout on Air. And you said, I think you said earlier that in a comment somewhere that in some countries you can watch a Hangout on Air but not YouTube Live. But one of
Yes.
the problems is I couldn't do things like we're doing here. What do we have a list of countries that?
I'm not sure if we have a list available. I searched for it and I tried to look it up, but I wasn't able to find anything.
But like you were in Germany and you're in Ireland now, could both of those countries get YouTube Live broadcast?
Yeah, so in Ireland I can watch it fine. So I think Ireland, UK are secure and they have YouTube Live available. But for Germany, it's not available. It's blocked. There is an exception for Hangouts on Air, so you can watch Hangouts on Air, but no YouTube Live.
So the obvious solution is for him to move his family to a country that is more friendly.
Yeah, or use
Has better
like
copyright laws.
any like proxies or stuff like that to just get a different IP address where YouTube Live is available.
So so we'll back channel some information to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there
off
are
air.
some countries where it's limited, but I think in most European countries it should be available.
I'm going to call my friend Kim.com. He may have a solution for this. Okay, so next up, topic. Oh my God, topic 3. Seriously? Yeah. Wow. My God, it's 10:12 p.m. Topic 3. Okay. And for folks, for the panel, this video, this is my interview with Alan, my exclusive interview with Alan Furstenberg. This one is 11 minutes and 10
But haven't
seconds.
we covered that already, like with the Google Plus and Blogger WordPress?
If we don't
thing?
play Alan, I mean, we're going to have hell to pay.
All right.
He hasn't eaten in 24 hours. You kidding me? He's Yom Kippuring. Is that a verb, Pam? Can that be a verb? Is Pam still here?
No, she's video muted.
She's on her bidet? Okay. All right.
No, not on my bidet.
Can you, is Yom
She's
can Yom-
looking for pictures for Thong Thursday or something.
Can you Yom Kippur? Can that be a verb?
No.
Can you have more
Oh,
head space?
she was working on improving her twerking skills.
Oh my God, that epic video I shared.
Now you got that picture in your head.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about that chick. It got on the What's Hot list, and I was joking with Nate Swanner, who's on my Android show, because we always screw with each other. And I shared it as, you know, that time that Nate Swanner twerked, you know, and I shared the thing, and it went on the What's Hot list, and it had like hundreds of shares or plus one, whatever. And he's like, "You're obsessed with that What's Hot list." And I was like, "No, it's just cool when you troll somebody and that gets on the What's Hot list. That's what's cool about it."
Okay, Ellen, Dan, before you continue
Go ahead.
Quick comment here from Andrew. He said, like, I'm finding this more interesting than most of the stuff. So we're not actually losing viewers. Talking about some technical stuff every now and then and probably some coding is actually quite interesting for the viewers. So I think we didn't do a bad job with that at all.
Also, a lot of these guys are going to try this out. I agree with you. A lot of these guys are going to try this out, and they might hit some of the same stumbling blocks that we found. And if we can assist them, and also, but the key point, Moritz, is that in the help file it says, click the embed code, copy it to your thing, and it works. It doesn't discuss any of this stuff. Like if you already have the Java head or footer script, don't put it in again. You know what I mean? And Craig and I were able to duplicate this error on. He was on a Mac in Maryland. I was on a PC in Virginia. So it's not like an edge case. Hopefully, this will you can give feedback to the appropriate people that maybe they need to look into this and figure out what the deal is and reword that embed code, because there's no sense in millions of people across the world having the same frustrating experience. We couldn't make it work, and we tried. Finally, after 10 minutes, I said, well, what if I just did this widget thing, and then it worked? But if I didn't have the head, it wouldn't have, or the footer script.
Right. And here's another comment. You said, like, people want to try it out. Sorry if I don't get the name right. Cadeos, probably.
Cadeos Colette, who's probably
I'm
driving about 60 miles an hour in California right now watching us. Be safe.
I'm playing around with this with you guys as you are talking. So, I think it was probably helpful that we actually were showing how to do it and, explain probably like the small glitches here and there. And, people will try it out, definitely. It's awesome.
Are we getting fewer comments about the horrific streaming thing here?
Lori said that she wasn't having a problem watching at all, that it was just fine.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the comments here.
For me it's working fine as well. I have it open on the other screen. It looks good.
Okay, so maybe Alex has basically solved Middle East peace here. Okay, so good. Excellent. Back channels always work. Okay, it's always who you know. Moritz has the contacts. Moritz got the Rolodex. All right, so next up, at the risk of moving on to topic 3.
Alan, topic 3.
Moritz, are you still a Patriots fan?
Absolutely. I screwed with Raleigh today and said, like, Ravens down.
Are you serious? You're a German living in Ireland and you know about American football?
Absolutely.
We made a bet one time, and I had to put up the Patriots logo as my profile picture for a week.
Is it? That's funny. At least they didn't make you shave your head or something crazy.
I was actually watching the Super Bowl, I think 2 years ago, in a hangout with a bunch of people, and I was like doing it like really like MacGyver style, like putting my webcam on my living room table, pointing on the TV to like stream the TV into the hangout and stuff like that. Because I didn't have a capture card, so that was like a workaround, and it worked quite well. We had fun together.
Is it broadcast in Germany or Ireland? I mean, American football, like the Super Bowl and stuff. Is it worldwide phenomenon?
Well, I had cable TV back in Germany, and I had ESPN, so I was able to watch it. I wasn't lucky enough to like see all the commercials because that's actually the most fun of the Super Bowl. But
well, they're all on YouTube, though, right?
Exactly. So I watched them afterwards.
It's funny, Moritz, that. You Googlers, you're not supposed to run commercials in YouTube videos, but they actually promote all the Super Bowl commercials. I mean, there are YouTube videos that consist entirely of commercials, and YouTube
when your commercial
on the
is
front page.
When your commercial is really successful when others showing commercials before your commercial video.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
your
I
commercial
shared a
is
commercial.
Really good.
Look at my profile. There's a great my dad, my awesome 75-year-old dad is so funny. And he sends these crazy things. And my favorite was why old guys don't get hired. And you should look. I'm not going to repeat that, but look me up just to, like in the last couple of days, you'll see it. But the Avian water commercial is fantastic. It's like a minute long and it's great. It's on my profile right now. Watch that. It's great. My dad's awesome. He says I'm retired, very retired, and all he does is like peruse the internet and go on the ham radio and
Have you watched this amazing LG commercial with like the fake window, which was actually a TV screen?
Oh yeah. It's a job interview, right?
Yeah.
Or something,
And then they have
and
like in the
behind
background
him-
this like bomb going down or whatever that is.
Yeah,
like
it's
a
funny
com-
because Craig, the day before that, Craig Shipp and I were having a conversation, and I said, the problem with selling, we were talking about Amazon versus big box retail. I said in 4K television, big box retail has an advantage because that's like clothes. You want to try clothes on and see if they fit. With 4K TV, none of us know, unless you've seen one, we have no idea what it looks like. You can't, on a 1080p TV set, show me what 4K television looks like. So,
Right.
But you can walk into Costco or Best Buy, and once they have them, once they all have them on display, you'll be able to physically see, wow, and look at the LG versus the Vizio versus the GE, the Samsung, and make a decision. And now that like stores like Best Buy are price matching Amazon, I think that it's advantage big box retail on these things. There's still certain things you want to physically try on or touch or see before you buy, and but for commodity items, like I bought a 25-foot quarter-inch to quarter-inch audio cable, and I just ordered that on Amazon, and it it was free shipping, Amazon Prime, the whole deal. But for certain things, like if I was a pair of jeans or whatever, or does this shirt fit or whatever, you want to try it on. And so retail is not going to die. It's just certain segments are going to be healthier than others.
Right, agree. Anyway, we get carried off.
Yeah,
let's
Alan.
and Alan.
Yeah, the
Back
only
to
reason.
you, Alan.
Yeah, you're filling in for Alan here and getting me back on task. How's the bidet
Yeah,
going?
let's play this 11-minute video.
We need a quick bidet update from Pam before. I'm just kidding.
So Pam can get back to this twerking.
Pam is really into personal hygiene, and she even has
That's a good thing.
She has a thermostat on her bidet. Okay, so our next topic is Google Plus and Blogger WordPress integration. Oh my God, Moritz, I need you to read the article and
That's what we just talked about.
Did we already do 3? We didn't do 3.
No, we
Well, he
didn't.
was showing me all that.
No, that was different. That was authorship, then embed a post.
And then embed.
This is
Well,
a
that's still
cluster.
integration.
FU, whatever.
Yeah, we slightly touched the topic, but we want to hear Alan.
We slightly touched it, but we want to fully embrace it, Craig Shipp. So,
We want to twerk it.
Moritz, I hope you've enjoyed your time at Google. Because,
We've just had the tip. Now it's ready for the rest of it.
yeah, and any opinions expressed are solely those of the participant. Okay, so next up, Alan Furstenberg and my exclusive conversation only on Google Plus Week. Stuttering and all, it's still worth watching. Google Plus and Blogger WordPress, almost but not quite. Whatever the hell that means. Okay, here we go. Bam. 11 minutes, I think. Here we go. Alan, I know one of your favorite topics is your incessant adoration of all things Blogger Google Plus integration. Because they've done such a splendid job. They actually somehow found a way to improve that integration. So
You can't top
I'm trolling
perfection,
Alan now. Go
but
ahead.
somehow they did.
I don't know. I mean, it's like improving on apple pie. How do you possibly? What do you think?
Well, let's give a little background first. As many of our followers know that have watched me in the past, I've long talked about how Blogger and Google Plus are a really natural fit for integration. So when they first announced that you were going to be able to write your Blogger posts and then post them on Google Plus, I was thrilled. I was ecstatic until I actually saw the implementation, which was a total mess. The biggest problem I had at the time was that when you posted something, you actually needed to then make a bunch of extra clicks to post it on Google+. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why do I need to do all of this extra work? And most of the time, I schedule my posts in advance. So this doesn't give me anything. And I said so, and I discussed it with them at the time, and they, nodded and said, we understand. Then several months back, they added the Google Plus comment system to Blogger. And I had a lot of trouble getting it to work. And the biggest reason I had trouble getting it to work was that I was very staunchly trying to keep my Blogger account as the one that was running the account. So finally, they now introduced a new feature, and that's that when you create a post, it can now, if you choose to do so, and I'll emphasize it's an if you choose to do so, it's totally up to you. If you choose to do so, it will just automatically go and post it on Google+. And I bit the bullet. I linked my page.
I thought it was opt out, or do they give you a warning thing like, by the way, this is going to happen?
No, it's opt in.
Are you sure? Because it was my understanding they would automatically do it unless you told it not to do it.
No, it will automatically. Currently, it will prompt you if you want to post.
So it'll give you that prompt. You're not going to no one's going to, unless they just don't read and just quickly.
Right.
There won't be accidental posts from.
No. Absolutely not.
Pam's blogger to her Google Plus.
Well, if Pam has a blog for her Thong Thursday community, that's another story.
Or her Harry Men one.
But in addition, adult communities are not allowed to, or qualified for this. Adult blogs. But no, it's a very, very specific setting in the settings page that you have to turn on and say, yes, cross-post this is Google Plus, and you have to actually link it to a Google Plus profile or page. So there's work involved. This isn't just a poof, magic happens. There's a little bit of work involved, but Blogger users are used to that. So I tested this, and it didn't work.
Well, I have the same thing with the integration that we talked about earlier, where if you say embed a post, it has two links. It says put this in the header, embed this where you want the widget, and if you put both of those in, it doesn't work. And so Craig and I, two morons compared to you and Gerwin, I was like, why doesn't this work? And then I, being the genius of the two, or the less dumb of the two, I figured out you don't put the header thing in there because that kills the second part. I'm not sure why. So you said there are problems here, but
the problem in this case is that I went about doing the way creating a post the way I always do it, and I scheduled a post for 15 minutes in the future, and it never and it posted fine, but it didn't show up on Google Plus. And finally, after a lot of hacking around and talking to people like Bruce Boulderman and working with Mike Downs on a couple of things, we discovered the reason is that you still can't schedule posts that are going to show up on Google+. But if you write a post and click, or if you write a blog article and click post, it will immediately go and post it to Google+. I got that working fine. It now works great as long as I don't want to schedule posts. But I want to schedule posts. That's what I want to do. That's how I use Blogger. That's one of Blogger's big features. So that was kind of frustrating to me, and I've sent feedback to the Blogger team about this already.
Now, of course, with DoShare, you could do it manually, but it wouldn't automatically.
Right,
but no, you couldn't. You couldn't because you have the post doesn't exist yet for DoShare to share.
Right.
Publicly.
Well, yeah.
Now, just curious what your motivation is for scheduling posts. Is it so that like you want to hit certain, like if it's about the EU's new policy on APIs or whatever, that you would want that to hit at a time that they're most actively on the internet, or what?
It's a bunch of things. I mean, many of my blog posts aren't terribly wonderful posts. They're not terribly cool things, but I prefer to post them. I will tend to write them either at 5 a.m. or at midnight, both times which I don't really have a lot of people who are going to be paying attention to me, so I prefer to write them then and post them around noon. 1. 2 is a lot of times I will be posting on historical events and talking about, here's what happened on this day in history. Here's why this holiday is significant to me. Those sorts of things. And I will often write them days ahead of time and I'll be busy on that holiday. You know, honestly, if I'm writing about the 4th of July, I'm out celebrating the 4th of July. I'm not sitting around waiting to hit the send button on my blog post. So, my attitude about this sort of thing is, this is the sort of thing that automation was meant for. You don't, you're a journalist. You don't pay your writers to do what is honestly a more menial job for them. You don't pay writers to carry around newspaper copy from one office to the other. You're paying them to write. You want them to write, and you don't want to pay them author salaries for being a copy boy. And that's essentially what is ending up in this case. Now, I'm hopeful, and you're going to hear me say this an awful lot for the next few segments, I am hopeful that they will finally figure out how to do it so that my scheduled post can show up. I am optimistic that they will actually make this a really, really useful tool, because other than that, this works beautifully. I mean, I will. This is one feature, and it's a big feature for me. But other than that, they did a really, really good job in getting this to work. So it's things like in Blogger you can set a title. Makes sense, right? The title comes over, and when it's shown on Google Plus, it's shown in bold on the first line. They format it right. I've been told by people who tested that if you embed pictures, it'll come over. The pictures will come over correctly. Brilliant. It's things like when you have a concept in Blogger called a jump cut, so that the first few lines will show, and then the rest of it they need to actually go to the Blogger page itself to read. It'll respect the jump cut and only show you the things before the jump cut. So these are, in some ways, they're little details, but they got the little details correct, and I've got to give them big kudos for that. But guys, really, seriously, you need to respect scheduling posts, because that's one of Blogger's great features that's just missing at this point. So I'm excited. I like what they've finally done. It took them a while to get to that point, but I'm glad they're finally here, and I can't wait to see them actually fix the little things that are missing.
I think in one of our interviews with Vic Condotra, we asked him about scheduled posts, and I think it's a deliberate thing that they want to discourage for spam prevention, and that's a legitimate concern.
That's legitimate, but one of the and that's his argument about APIs as well. But one of the things that that they're concerned about in this sort of thing is, we talk about it in terms of quality of a post. They want only high quality posts. If I'm writing a blog, all I want there are high quality posts. All I want there is high quality posts, because presumably a lot of bloggers are monetizing their blogs, so they want people to show up, and they want people to keep showing up. So having a lot of junk posts there is not to anyone's advantage. One of the things we said when we talked about some of the loosening rules when it came to pages is we were worried about pages starting to do more spamming. Come on, guys, let us do the automated posts. I can assure you more people will use them correctly than will abuse it, but let's find out.
And a lot of it's the free market. I mean, it's not like pushing email into your inbox. You choose who to circle, and that's what you read. And if someone's spamming, you're going to uncircle them. If someone wants to spam and spam and spam, and no one's following them to read it, then it's pointless. But I do see the need for, like, let's say you were getting married at high noon, and you wanted to say, I'm so
married.
proud that I'm, and obviously, or let's say when you get enter politics, I, Alan Furstenberg, do solemnly swear. Oh, hang on, Mr. Chief Justice, I tried to schedule this earlier, but to all my tweeters or Google Plus followers.
I mean, there are legitimate uses for scheduled posts. There are legitimate abuses for it. I'm not going to say there aren't, but come on, this is a great feature. It's in Blogger already, so obviously they feel that it's a great feature too. Let's fully integrate it.
And also, in their defense, they don't want to take something away, because the only thing that would make you more frustrated than not getting it is if they gave it to you and you spent. I remember our good friend Mohammed Mansour when they made a change and all of his apps stopped working, he freaked out.
And it's fun.
I can
It's
see
fun.
your reaction. That's the only thing that'll be worse than not having access is to be let in the gate and then told to leave.
It's great that you say that, and we'll take that up that same subject up again in two topics from now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to hear all
And-
about that Q&A.
And we're back. Craig steps on me yet again. Okay, so let's see. Any final comments on the Google Plus Blogger integration there? Hearing none. Sold. Okay, so next up, we've used the Questions app several times, and for Hangouts on Air, and it's got a new name, which Alan informed me about. So that's our next topic. Let's talk about the new live Q&A feature that is now available to everybody. You can do this yourself right now. You can start a live Hangout on Air and let your audience ask questions. So let's find out all about that with our yet another exclusive interview with Mr. Alan Furstenberg. Here we go. Okay, the next thing is the Questions app has been released to public, and we were
But let me cut you off right there, Dan.
okay.
It's been renamed.
What time is it?
It is now known as the Live Q&A app.
Well, that's what it is. That's good. We're
Yeah, I think it's a good name for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think, that tells you what it is. And Google's not the best at naming things. I remember that West Wing episode where the Democrats were upset. They said the Republicans are just better at naming things, like the death tax. It just inflames people.
Well, you got to
so
remember,
this is a
most
good
of the
thing.
Googlers come from Microsoft, and they're equally bad at naming things. So,
Like Bing, that automatically tells you it's a search engine,
right, or Office, which is a nice generic name for nothing.
That's a better name than Bing. And slightly more popular. But anyway,
Yeah.
we digress.
Anyway,
So, okay.
we don't want to get too far off topic.
The Questions app we used to use,
Live
and we may
Q&A.
use again. I want to go on a brief tangent here because I got a comment. I haven't responded to him yet, but we switched to YouTube Live. The Questions app's great. The feature set on Hangouts on Air is fantastic. It's a TV studio for free that streams to the world. But there are certain things you can't do. For example, what we're doing right now, I'm pre-recording segments because you can't be here tonight. So I'm pre-recording this with you, and I'm going to be able to play them live in the YouTube live stream, and then go to the bewildered panel that won't remember what you said. And I can't do that in an HOA. So also the quality of this is better. There is a sync issue. Sometimes our mouths are moving and the audio's, but I'm getting a new video card, or I'm trying to work on that. But there are certain things, so that's the reason I made the decision to not use it for a while and test the YouTube Live. But the Europeans can't receive this. I didn't realize this. Some European countries, I don't know how many, I don't know if all or some, can't get YouTube Live. So they can't watch the show live anymore. And I had a complaint. It's the first person who's brought that to my attention. I feel bad. So I may look at an audio stream or try to figure out, I'm mulling it over for our European friends.
Well, everything's got various trade-offs, and I think that actually describes really well the Live Q&A app itself.
Let's talk about it and how you compare it to Gerwin's comment tracker.
Comment Tracker and how Comment Tracker integrates with Hangout Toolbox. The Live Q&A app, it's clever in a lot of ways. It introduces a couple of basic features. The biggest one, of course, is that there's now a way for your viewing audience to submit questions, and not just submit questions, but to vote on questions. And the better questions, both via votes and some other metrics that Google are using, will rise to the top. And a moderator, the host, will be able to pick those, get rid of some other ones that might be clogging things up, and answer questions. And one of the neat things is that one of the things we do with Comment Tracker is we put it up on the screen. And we like that, so that you can see exactly what we're talking about. But it also gives you a visual reference for when you're looking for things later. Live Q&A takes a different approach to that. Instead of putting it up on the screen, you can always follow along if you're watching it later using the live Q&A viewer. You'll always be able to go to the question that you're interested in and immediately see it. So while we use things like the playlist, the topic list with live links, and we use the pop-up pictures, live Q&A viewer has this additional feature to it. And I think that's a pretty neat and powerful feature. But there are caveats. There's a lot of caveats. I think the biggest one is that you need to be using the live Q&A player. And, what happens to the YouTube crowd? YouTube has been cultivating many, many viewers. And it now seems like this is, something different. If YouTube integrated questions into its commenting system, and let's be honest, the YouTube commenting system sucks. So if that questions app gets brought over into YouTube, that might be interesting, but it's not there yet. Live Q&A is another example of a long way to go before we actually see the good, solid product that it deserves to be. And I think to their credit, she has stated that there's more work being done on this. This is the first release, and we can expect to see more along this line coming out in the future.
What are some of the improvements that you'd like to see in the correcting myself, the Q&A app? I would like to put the questions on. I'd like the ability to click. I'd like all of the cool stuff about Gerwin's app built into it. The ability to get questions from multiple sources. The ability to click on the question and have it appear on the screen. Just basic things. And Google Plus has improved dramatically from the first days, but there's certain things, and I know
here's
they
the
want to
thing.
get this out, and they're continuing to listen to feedback and make improvements. But at some point, you get like, okay, we got to go to war now. We're going to release this thing, and you, like Rumsfeld famously said, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you want. And it's release day, and this is tested and works, and we're going to release it.
Here's a case where what are they going to war against?
I'm using war is a bad analogy.
No. It's
the great Rumsfeld quote.
It's your typical analogy, but but this is a case where really, what were they going to war against? What there were needs that were needed to be filled, and Comment Tracker was trying to fill some of those needs, but it was doing so incompletely. Live Q&A is trying to fill some of those needs, and it's doing it even more incompletely. We still have problems that people are going to, it doesn't really have the full integration that it deserves. It's not easy to post questions ahead of time and get them showing up in here. The live Q&A will automatically show up half an hour ahead of time if you're posting it from an event. But that means that I could have this event that I've been billing now for days or weeks, and everything that's been showing up in all of its comments won't show up here. So it's integration like that it still needs to do. And I think that's really it. Integration with all of the other tools is still sorely lacking. This is really almost a standalone tool that has minimal integration into the other products. I think the other big thing that I would love to see with this, and we saw this as an issue when we interviewed Vic Gandotra last, we tested an earlier version of this app in front of Vic, which was kind of hairy, I got to tell you.
Yeah, it was the first time. I don't know who was more worried, the Mountain View or us, especially me, that something would go wrong. And I wasn't sure I wanted to use it at first, but they reached out and they were eager for us to, because it was the first high profile.
Yeah,
and it was the first time he had seen it, and he loved it. And I talked to another Googler who ran into him at their office or in the hallway or whatever, and he brought it up. He said, "Yeah, I did this thing. The questions apps, it was really cool. People were asking live questions, and he could see him, I guess, and so he really liked it. He dug it. It was cool.
It is cool, but it's also things like that. Nate and I were asking questions, we're relaying questions, and you were furiously trying to manage it.
I had to basically withdraw as the host. I was right. Because you can't have a separate producer.
Right, and that's a thing that we see with a lot of tools still, is that they're assuming that the host is also going to be the producer, and we're finding that's not really true. So until they give that sort of capability, that's another thing, not just for live Q&A, but for a lot of the tools that we're seeing in HOAs, not quite there yet.
If folks start using this, and they want, do we know, for folks who begin to use this and have suggestions and want to submit feedback specific to the Q&A app, or the what's it called?
Live Q&A.
The name du jour. Do we know the best way for them to reach out and offer either criticisms or bug reports or
Sure.
feature suggestions? How should they do that?
The best way, of course, is to make a post and to make sure that you plus mention Google Plus Help. That's always a good way to do it. Also, using the send feedback feature, an excellent way to get feedback sent in. And for this or for anything about Google Plus, talking about it in the Google Plus Discuss community, which I understand may or may not be renamed to Google Plus Help at some point, talking about it in that community, there are a whole host of top contributors who will help you out with problems. They've all been working with this sort of stuff. They've been previewing the live Q&A app, so they have some insights into it. And if you've got real feedback or real help, they can send it down the correct channels.
Or you could call the 800 number that Google has for tech support. An operator who speaks perfect English is standing by.
That would be 1-800 I think not.
Awesome. So this is cool. All right. And we are back. So let's talk about this feature, the Q&A or live Q&A feature that we now have. We've used it multiple times, and it's an excellent feature. And so I want to get the panel's input here. Moritz, how's this going? What are your thoughts on this? And it's exciting that now it's. I'm getting feedback from somebody here.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
That's me. 1 sec. I fix it.
Hello.
All right.
Check. Hello. It's like I'm an E. Cola commercial.
No, I set it to studio mode while we were watching the stream. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So the Q&A, the live Q&A.
Live Q&A.
Is it called an app, or I don't even know what it's called now? But
I think the tooltip still says audience questions. So I think we have multiple names floating around. But yeah, I think it's really a great feature. And I mean, as Alan said, we have the comment tracker that Gervin developed, and which is now integrated in Toolbox. And you have also still the Send Alone app. And each like comment tracker and the Q&A app, they both have like their pros and cons. And I think like if you do just a regular Hangout on Air and want to have some live questions or like comments, you can easily use it, and people watching it on Google Plus can easily submit questions and upvote them. And whenever you select a question that you want to answer, it gets highlighted for the viewers and for all the participants in the Hangout that have the app open. You can see what's discussed. Once you answer the question, you can click done. It's disappearing. And the good thing though is like when you rewatch it afterwards, you have it like, you know, with the timestamp coding you're doing with your posts, you know, to skip to specific topics. That's built in as well. So if you're watching the Hangout on Air afterwards, you get the same Lightbox player and you have the question on the right-hand side. And when you hover over the question, there is a little arrow which brings you straight to the point in the video where they were discussing this particular question. And I think it's a great integration. And as Alan said as well, it's you know, the first iteration, and there will be improvements in the future. We will see how that works out. And I think they're on a good thing with that.
Craig, Craig, go ahead, because I know you work with a bunch of folks. I know Audrey, who does Hooping Live, and there are a number of other folks who use this app. What are your thoughts on it in its current state? And
my concern is that they are not, they being the people that are developing these tools and or the Googlers behind all of this, are really not, and I keep using the term mixing it up. They're not mixing it up with the people that are actually using this platform to do shows. And if they did, they would know that, at least I don't think they're on the right track here. I think some of the things they're doing are great, but I don't think it needs to be this complicated. I think what we need is we need the comments to all be consolidated into one place. Those comments need to appear here in the Hangout. They need to appear on the Google Plus posting for the Hangout. They need to appear on YouTube where the Hangout is streaming. They need to appear anywhere that this content is. And it needs to be one string of comments and or questions. And maybe they could color code them, okay? If somebody commented on YouTube, it could be highlighted a certain color, right? If somebody commented in the Google Plus posting, it could be highlighted a different color.
Comment Tracker already does that.
If somebody posted here in the chat here, it could be a different color. And all of these comments should be permanently with the archived video, so that if I watch the archived show, the comments go right along with the show, like Mort said, and they're time-stamped, and people can click on them and go to that section in the video. It all needs to be consolidated, and then we've got a really powerful tool to use. But it just doesn't seem like they're going that direction, and that's what concerns me.
The one thing that I didn't like about the first iteration of this was how, when people submitted comments, they jumped all over the place. It was very difficult to view as a viewer. I watched the Vic Condotra interview, and as people would submit questions, some would go to the top, and some would stay in the middle, and some would, it was very sketchy that way. And I'm hoping, I haven't seen the new one, so I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm hoping that isn't part of the...
Yeah, so one reason for that jumping up and down is because it's got dynamically resorted based on the votes, like the +1s you can give on those questions. And the most rated ones are always on top.
It's other criteria as well, of course. It's not just the +1s and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an algorithm.
So it still does that?
Yeah, and Moritz and Pam, what are your thoughts? I found it conspicuous because I know when we did the interview with Vic, they were eager to use the questions app, or eager for us to do it. But when John Kerry just did his Hangout, which I thought was excellent, regardless of where you stand on any of the issues there, it was very fast-paced. He gave substantial but pretty short answers, so that they got a lot of questions in the I think it was 35 minutes. Or so. I'm guessing that it was a half hour, and he gave him an extra 5 minutes. But it was interesting that it was billed as a Q&A in a Google Plus Hangout, but they did not use the Hangout app or the live Q&A app now. Should we read something into that, or is that just coincidence? Or
Oh, my guess is they pre-selected the questions, right? So those questions were already pre-selected and probably screened by, I don't know, Secret Service or somebody, right? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just a off-the-cuff questions and answers type of thing. I mean,
yeah, that would make sense.
Politicians don't do that.
Yeah, that would make sense. It was all set up.
When you interview these guys on that level, when you interview guys, typically it's understood. Like when we interview Vic, I mean, he doesn't know the questions in advance. We've never sent them questions. He'll take any question we ask him, but it's also understood that we're not going to allow a crazy question to surface and embarrass everyone involved in the show, right? So there's a professional. So I can understand that, yeah. And
there's no way to stop the crazy question from appearing
unless you pre-select, right?
Right, in this in this app, right? So if let's say someone asks a crazy question and a bunch of trolls come in and upvote that to the #1 spot. I mean, that's
Yeah, if it was totally democratic, I could completely see Reddit taking over. You know.
Exact. That's what I.
Yeah.
That's what I think when I see
Yeah.
this app. It's like Reddit. I don't want the questions upvoted. I want to see them or I don't want them jumping around because it's hard to keep track of the new questions that way.
And
you
I
know?
remember I actually called up Craig on the phone and I said, Craig, I want you to, because he has this cool screen capture video thing, and I actually, because I was looking at the video while Carrie was doing it, even afterward, and it was the comments were rolling like I've never seen, like machine gun speed, and I've never seen anything like it, and so I called up Craig and said, is there any way you could do like a capture of this, for like 10 seconds or something? I'm just curious to see it and analyze it. And then if you looked at the comments, they were crazy. They were like, nonsensical or racist or anti whatever religion. I mean, just crazy trolling type comments, because anytime there's a high profile event, apparently all these, jerks come in and abuse it.
Anytime there's any YouTube video, all these jerks come in.
Yeah, democracy has its pros and cons, apparently.
Well,
So-
I mean, who's watching YouTube videos in the middle of the day, right? It's somebody in their parents' basement, who has nothing to do, and they're
With their
trolling.
Star
I was
Trek,
gonna say my 18-year-old daughter, if she's not working, but
Yeah.
but she's only
Trolling.
watching Korean videos. So
with their they're living in their parents' basement with their Star Trek figurines, celebrating their virginity. God bless them all. Okay, so
okay, you just alienated half
Yeah,
your
I
viewers, right?
but I did it with affection, and they can appreciate the humor there. Okay, so are we good on the Q&A app, or should we go another 30 minutes? Okay, all right.
Well, I think we're good to go, and I mean, until there is a version 2 at some point, we still have the comment tracker, and as Craig said, color coding would be nice. Comment tracker has color coding, even though we probably won't have it in.
But even that
Composer
doesn't
too.
consolidate. Even that doesn't consolidate.
No, I mean nothing is perfect, and since Facebook and Twitter limited their APIs, we don't have easier access to those feeds anymore. So we.
But
have to
we're
stick
not
with
even
Google Plus.
consolidating the Google comments. That's my point.
Well, we have Google comments, Google Plus comments, and we have YouTube comments, but we can't
And we
get
have
the stuff from the
comments
questions
in-
app.
No, we have comments in the Hangout. We have comments on the Google Plus posting. We have comments in YouTube. That's 3 different places.
Yes.
And they're all
Great.
3 valuable content for the show.
However,
Unless we don't have
and
the
you and
APIs, we can build stuff for that. And I mean, the
You and
question
I
app is a good
disagree.
place to do it as well.
you and I disagree, Craig, on that one point.
Then
Is
Pam,
that
you don't
I
have
think-
to come into one of my shows. If you
Oh, I
know
won't.
that-
But
if you know
but the
that my
group chat,
comments-
the group chat in the Hangout should stay private.
Well, if,
No, we
if,
should
if
just-
I'm the
we should-
broadcaster, if I'm the broadcaster and I want to include those comments in my broadcast, you don't have to participate in that broadcast. Very
Just set up,
simple.
I
just set
hear
up an
what you're
IR
saying,
And
but I
there
want
can
to be
very
able to opt
easily-
out.
There can very easily be an option in there to post a private posting.
No,
I mean,
they're
this isn't rocket
absolutely no,
science
no.
here.
I mean, I could totally see like there should be an integrated chat, but I absolutely think there should be a separate panel only chat that things like
I mean, we discussed just technical things and
Yeah,
and
things
you
like,
all
you
have
know,
to think. You
like-
all have to think a little more intelligently here. If I share a link in the chat and I start talking about that link, everybody should be able to click on that link.
Craig,
yes,
you don't
but
get
if
it.
I
No,
say,
no, you're
Craig,
wrong.
you got spinach
We've
in your
got 100
teeth.
people
Why
watching
do
the show. They should all be able to click on that link.
Craig,
Come
Craig,
on now, get
you're missing.
realistic.
No, you're
missing the
Craig.
point.
You're 100% wrong on this. The
You're 100% wrong.
no,
you're not even
no,
close to
I'm right and you're wrong.
No.
There should be an ability to privately communicate things like, Dan, sit up in your chair, you're
I
slouching.
didn't
or,
say take that away. I didn't say take that
You s-
away.
Okay,
I said very clearly, the chat is part of the show. Then if you want to post something privately, you have an option to do that. You got to start listening, Dan. You're not listening, and you're not thinking.
I think we should go old school with that and just set up an IRC chat along with the show. like for example Geekbeat TV is doing it and several others.
This is not difficult, Moritz. You have the broadcaster has the option to make the chat part of the broadcast. People that are posting in the chat have the option to post a private message to the panel if they choose.
That
And
complicates
they can even
things.
check their
She would
default
never
and
go
make that
through
their
that.
default.
We've
And
then the
current-
problem is solved.
So currently we can actually post privately within the chat, but only to like another person. Like I could right now do a private post just to you, Craig, here in the chat that other people can't see, but Jody wouldn't be able to see it, Moritz wouldn't be able to see it, Dan wouldn't be able to see it, and Bruce wouldn't be able to see it. So how do you do that to all? I mean, that's
All they
very
need
complicated
do-
to type
they
in all
need
that.
to do- all they need to do is build in the capability. When I click in there and I start typing, they could have a checkbox there that says make this private. And you could make that particular post private, and by default, the rest of them could all be public
that's-
based on what the broadcaster decided. If the broadcaster decided that that's valuable content in that chat, that he wants it to be part of the show, if somebody shares a link or somebody makes a comment or whatever, he wants the viewers to be privy to that as well because it's valuable content. If that broadcaster decides that, then that's the default. And then if somebody wants to post something privately to the panel, Dan, you're sweating, get some powder. He can check the little box, this is private to the panel.
That's
Or do a private post to Dan. I mean,
So
it's
we have-
not rocket science. I don't understand why you don't get this.
We have a comment on that. So, Sai says, Craig has never tried to marry one technology to another. It's all hand waving, and shouldn't it be easy? But YouTube was developed outside of Google Plus and outside of Hangouts on Air. It takes time and standards to get things integrated to that level. So it's a start, and we are on the way to getting things right.
Well,
and
no,
just
not if
making
people
more
like Pam have their way. We'll never get there.
look. I mean, I totally
And
agree
Dan,
with you,
people
Craig.
Like Dan has his way. We'll never get there.
I totally agree with you, Craig, that there should be a single integrated chat/comment system on Google Plus, YouTube.
No one argues with that. Everyone agrees
Right.
on that.
But at the same
Yeah,
time,
but don't integrate in the most important part, which is the chat during the show in the Hangout, which is one of the most important places.
No, we will keep that.
No, that
That's-
absolutely should remain private, and we'll have to agree to disagree on this because there needs to be a way for someone to say, so and so you're slouching or your audio's weird or
Dan, I didn't say take that away.
But I don't think you want.
You're not listening to me.
But you constantly criticize Google for making things more complicated, and then now you want to make the internal chat more complicated and make it like, is this public or private?
Dan, if somebody
Yeah,
comments on
and-
YouTube right now, the chances are most people in this panel are not even going to see it. If that comment went right
that's a
into
fair
the chat
criticism.
and was color-coded,
That's
if
a-
that
Now,
that's-
comment went right
that's
into
true.
the chat
That's
and was
true.
color-coded
Most-
so
I mean,
that we
we-
know it's from YouTube,
Yeah.
we would see it. And then we could comment right in there and reply to it.
That's
and
a
then
f-
somebody watching could
absolutely.
say, well, Craig just said this.
Right.
And a
That-
conversation
that's a fair
would go on.
criticism. The
You
features
all are
in
wrong.
the
You
comment
just
tracker.
dead wrong on this.
I think all the comments from the comment tracker,
That should be built-in
they're
feature.
right now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sources for the comment tracker, and all of the comments show up on the comment tracker as a stream in chronological order. Now those I can absolutely agree, there are viewers and they should be part of the show, and there should be a way to add them to the archive video later. I absolutely agree with that, but not
Yeah,
the
there
chat.
should be an
What about
integrated
us?
kinda-
thing.
Pam,
What
you
about
kinda-
us interacting with them now? We can't interact with them unless we're monitoring the comments. there.
I am
Yeah, but the rest
monitoring
of us
it, and I
aren't.
am interacting
Pam,
with
you
that.
can
the
add
rest of us
the
aren't.
comments. You can add the comments to the video. I mean, we have this small pop-out thing, so you get the permalink for the comment tracker on the website, and you can add the link to your video or the Hangout on Air post afterwards, so people can actually go through the comments of the show. I mean, they're not time-coded, but at least they're archived and can be recalled afterwards.
So Dan, do you do that?
If the comments were fed right into the chat right here, they would be timed, they would be along with the show, everything would just freaking work.
Pam,
Why don't we do it the easy
Dan,
way for once?
do you add the comment tracker comments to the archive video?
I'm not sure I could, but when I post the show, I say I always post a link, to the archive comments, and I usually post it like the next day, and by then, most of the shares have occurred, and then it'll pick up all of them because like sometimes people will share it and comment more, and you'll pick up some more. But Craig, I understand about the unified comment system. I totally get that, and we're on the same page there. But I still think the internal chat in the Hangout on Air or the video call in this case should remain an internal chat so that people can say things like sit up straight or there's,
Dan, you're not listening. How many times
That's what Craig said.
That's
Anyway,
okay.
I don't think it should be like, you have
I
to
have no
have an
problem with
option.
that.
anyway,
But if
we're going in
the
circles
comments
here.
don't come into the Hangout, I'm
Moritz,
not going
we
to see
argue
them.
this every week.
If the comments don't come into the Hangout, I'm not going to see them, and I'm not going to interact with them. It's that simple.
All
Maybe
right.
Pam is, but the rest of us aren't.
To sum it up, it's a good start. Way to go, as Alan was commenting in the notes.
We all
quite
agree.
often.
We all agree.
We all agree. It's a
Craig and
good
I are
start.
on the
Way
same
to go.
page.
It just
with
is
that, we
frustrating
should-
to me
we
when
should-
you all take so long to get something. I just don't understand why it takes so long.
We should just
But
all buy
I'll
a
be
Mac.
patient.
We should all buy a
Anyway,
Mac, Craig.
what do you think about getting back to Alan and let us introduce the next fun
Okay,
topic,
next up.
which is photos, which we had so much fun last week.
Absolutely. Photos are next, and I think he entitled this "A Radical Change in Photo Editing." A good start,
Way to go.
a way to go. So this would be, oh my God, which one is this 4 or 5? 5.
It's 5.
Okay, 5. So control 5. All right, so to my panel, and this is, we're doing an experiment tonight with pre-recorded segments. I haven't done this before. So it's a mixed progress. So this is 7:38. Here we go. Alan and my previous conversation. Hold on, let me put my glasses on before we start. Here we go. Okay, Alan, another big change is the photo editing features. And I got to tell you a quick funny story. I uploaded 71 pictures of a. They took the cornerstone from the town hall.
Call, but yeah, you're
Are you
totally
leaving
wrong
for
on
real?
this one. You're totally wrong on this one.
Are you leaving for real?
Yeah, because I got an early call in the morning. Yeah.
What does that mean? You're gonna watch an
Why don't you
episode
just
of-
stay up late?
Getting started earlier than normal tomorrow because I got a big event I'm covering and I got
What
to
are you
get started early. Huh?
What event is it?
In the street festival in downtown Frederick.
Cool. My parents called me and I turned them down, but they invited to take me. There's a big antique thing in Gettysburg. Isn't that right next to you? I
Yeah,
think it's
Gettysburg is just north of me. Yeah.
I think it's September 29th or something, or around there. I can't remember, but there's some big giant antique thing. And I was like, I swear to God, I love you, Mom and Dad, but I am so not going for like an overnight stay at an antique fest in Gettysburg.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that one.
And the
Gettysburg is always trying to do something to get people up there, but they're usually not very successful.
They're kind of a
And
one
as-
wonder about the Civil War thing, right?
Here's a quote that sums it up like violent agreement. So that
Craig and I are the
Craig,
best of
way to
friends.
go.
We love to mix it up.
You know, I just hate to see something like this dying on the vine the way it is, and there's so many things they could do to salvage it, and they're just not doing it, and
it takes time. Sometimes it's not that easy as
Yeah, but sometimes you don't have that much time. Once you've lost everybody, a lot of them aren't going to come back.
I know.
You know, Tatiana left. She canceled her show.
But
and
Google
left.
is a big, complicated thing.
Yeah.
Dan, why are you typing random numbers in the topic
Okay,
list?
I have hotkeys
Is it
for my shots.
Your yeah, I was guessing that, but
Is Alan speaking now?
yeah, Alan is still on.
Okay, and for how long?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
What?
What?
Oh, I fucked up.
Oh, you weren't playing it, huh?
I just broadcast what we just said. Oh fuck.
Funny
Oh
guys.
my god. Did we say anything bad?
No, we're
Fuck.
good.
That was segment 5, right?
Yes.
5 or 4?
Okay, so this is obviously an epic fail. So I'm gonna restart segment 5, and I humbly apologize. And I'm blushing right now. So let's try this. Okay, Alan. Another big change is the photo editing features. And I got to tell you a quick funny story. I uploaded 71 pictures of a. They took the cornerstone from the town hall from 1935, and there's a time capsule in it, right? And so they had a big opening of the time capsule. So a guy, one of our friends who takes contributors to the newspaper, sent me 71 pictures, and of course I can't print all that, but I put them on in a Google Plus post, and then I embedded the post on the website. So I uploaded the pictures to Google Plus, and then I hit OK, and I typed the post, whatever. I hit OK, and then it was like flipping through them, and so I was waiting for them to finish uploading the post, right? And then I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and then I realized it was the same 3 or 4 pictures, and they had done the Auto Awesome thing, and I thought it was like uploading stuff, and I waited like 3 minutes before I realized it was done. It was just the Auto Awesome animated GIF of 3 or 4 key pictures. So that was kind of a tech fail on my part, a rare tech fail, I would add.
Very rare, Dan.
But that's a minor issue compared to, I guess, all the Googlers were sharing the new Google Plus photo editing features. I know you're a photographer of note, and you use them, and you may have some thoughts on this, Mr. First.
I do. And I can't wait to hear. I'm hoping Michael Banks joins us tonight, and I really hope Craig Shipp is there to comment on this one, because last week we had such fun talking about photos. This is going to be even more fun this week. So we might remember that several months back, is it a year now? Might have been a year now, I forgot to look. Google purchased Snapseed. And this is a photo editing company in Germany, and they've started integrating a bunch of their photo editing tools across the platforms. This is a case where they essentially took their Snapseed tools and brought them to the Google Plus photo editor. And in doing that, they did a number of things. The first is they got rid of the old photo editor. And by saying got rid of, I mean got rid of. It's gone. The one that used to be based on Picnic is no longer there. And that was originally called Picnic and then called the Creative Kit. The second thing, though, is in bringing over Snapseed's system into Google Plus Photos, they only brought it over for people who were using Chrome. So if you're using Firefox or Safari or other even more lesser browsers, you're out of luck. You don't have a photo editor in Google Plus anymore. And that's taken a lot of people by surprise. The reason why they did this is they're using some features that are only available in Chrome right now. And I don't know why they chose to do it that way. It's, not to try to boost Chrome's popularity, because Chrome's already popular. It's not to boost Google Plus's popularity, because who's going to care? It's kind of a mystery about why they did this. And then, I don't know, I've got mixed feelings when it comes to the software itself. On one hand, it adds a lot of pretty cool features. Some of the shading effects, some of the dark and light controls, they're really nice. The spot focus is a really effective tool, and you actually now have a little more control over just how awesome the Auto Awesome pictures are. So all of that is pretty neat, but it's lacking some features. I mean, it omits some features that I'm just, who in their right mind left these out? You know, so although you've got spot focus, you no longer have spot blurring, which is a very important and powerful feature. If you take pictures and your lens has a little bit of dust on it, you're going to get the dust showing up on your picture, and most good photo editing software will let you clean that up. This is missing that. And certainly, if you're trying to do fun things with your photos, like add captions, add arrows, add text, if you're using this photo editor to try to document photos or anything, forget it. Those features are gone. And these were all features that the Creative Kit had, but which are now missing. And I find that, you know, pretty disappointing that they took features away from a useful tool. You know how Vic would always say that he doesn't want to take features away after he gives them to people?
Right.
Well, he just did. And I'm incredibly disappointed that he just did.
Well, that vindicates his decision not to have a full-featured API.
Yeah, but it doesn't vindicate his decision to mess with the photo editor.
Okay. So I remember when Google Plus first started and we were trying to get our friends and family to use it, you know, and like, how the hell do I sign in, you know? It was accused of being basically a tech geek and photographer sausage factory. So I'm glad that they're improving their home team advantage.
Well, you know, that's the funny
But there
thing.
are a ton of photographers of note. Trey
There
Radcliffe
are.
and Thomas Hawk and others love Google Plus and get a lot of traction, a lot of interaction on their photography posts. And you see a lot of stuff in the What's Hot list. It'll just be a random, even the top Googlers, Vic and Bradley and others, they will post just pretty pictures. I think Bradley did one of
Right.
the Golden Gate Bridge or something today.
Here's the thing, though. You know, if they're saying this is a tool for pros, then you need to actually make it a tool for pros. It's missing features that a pro needs. If you're saying, well, this is a tool for pro-ams, well, it's missing the features that the pro-ams need. If you're saying, well, you know, this is the tool for the casual photographer, aside from the fact that it's got some tools in it that I think a casual photographer would be totally lost with, it's missing features that the casual photographer wants. This is a tool for nobody. And yet it aspires to be a tool for anybody, and it fails. I mean, don't get me wrong. It does. I mean, the effects you can do with it are great. Really, I've made some beautiful photos using it that I've gotten compliments of already. You can do some really powerful things with it. But it's just missing too many features for me to take it seriously. Here's what I need. I need a photo editor I can use on my Pixel that replaces the photo editor I was using on my Mac. And it's not there. This isn't it, and it needs to be.
You calm?
I'm always calm, Dan.
Okay, so we'll see what the panel thinks.
In this
Welcome
hangout?
back. Okay, so
Hi.
so photo editing features. I don't know if you have either any of you folks tried these to offer any thoughts on the improvement of the photo editing abilities on Google Plus. Morris or Pam?
Yes. I absolutely tried it, and I edited some pictures. My latest picture was my cupcake picture from today, and you can get some pretty good results with it, and it's quite powerful. If any photographer is familiar with Lightrooms, it's not that powerful, but like the selective adjustments and stuff like that, those are powerful tools, and you can really play around with it and get some awesome results out of it. As Ellen said,
just
we
to
still
clarify,
miss
you posted a picture of a cupcake.
of cupcakes, yeah, several of them.
Is that a regular thing you do?
No.
Okay, go ahead. I'm
It
sorry.
was just a picture I found and was like, okay, well, I should just try
I
and edit it.
apologize for interrupting you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, as Ellen pointed out, there are some features missing, like adding text and stuff like that. For now, the only way to add text to pictures is to like download them and attach them to a post, and that use the add text feature there. So there is still a way on Google Plus to add text to it, but other things like arrows or other markups, you can't do it. You were able to do it with Creative Kit before, and now it's gone. And yeah, it's a Chrome only thing. It only runs in Chrome, and
That's pissed a bunch of people off.
yes, I know. But we are listening to that feedback, and we are looking into it, and yeah, we'll see. And yeah, there is another thing like with Chromebooks or netbooks. It only works on Intel architecture. So if you have a netbook or a Chromebook that is based on ARM, you're not able to use it, and it's also not working in incognito mode because the editor needs access to the temp file system, and in incognito mode in Chrome it doesn't allow that. So as long as you're logged in or with a separate profile, you're good to go, and you're using Chrome, and then you can have fun with it. Jody, what about you? Have you played around with the new editor on Google Plus?
The photo editor?
Yeah, the new one.
Yes.
What's
And
your
I like it. I haven't played with it that much that I can say that I'm expert at it, but I think it's very nice from what I've seen.
And Pam, what's your take on it? You're muted.
I haven't used it.
All right.
I have a standalone photo editor that I use before I post, or I post straight from my phone, and I don't. I just post raw pictures, one or the other. So
I've taken the lazy way out, and I have all of my pictures. Like as soon as I plug in, they get uploaded to Google.
oh yeah, no, I don't do that. Mm-mm,
I
no.
do.
Yeah. No.
I do, and then it's really easy because there's this really cool thing, Maurice, you probably talked about it already, but it takes, like, if you take pictures sequentially, it animates them and makes them into an animated GIF.
Yeah, that's the Auto Awesome feature we introduced at Google I/O. That has been around for a while now.
I love that.
Yeah, so yeah, whenever you take 5 or more pictures in a short amount of time and upload them to Google Plus or have like auto backup active, it will basically create those Auto Awesome pictures, which are animated GIFs, and you can really have fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other modes as well, like HDR. So if you have like a series of bracketed pictures, like an underexposed, overexposed, and a normally exposed picture, Google Plus can actually build an HDR picture out of that. Or having those mix, like 4 pictures that kind of looks the same,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like those passport photo box thingies with 4 pictures in square. And other fun stuff. So it's a cool feature, but this is not like the new photo editor. We launched that back in May at Google I/O.
Yeah, well, I like that one, and I like the fact that you can take a picture, you can crop it, you can brighten it. They have different filters now. So I mean, there's some nice features. So.
Yes. But as Ellen pointed out, there are some stuff missing, and yeah.
Well, it's not Photoshop either, but you're not paying like you're paying for Photoshop.
Yeah, and to quote Alan, it's a good start and way to go.
Rare praise from Alan. All right, so
and Dan, I have here a quick comment to our little glitch we had before. You were okay till you realized you weren't okay.
yeah, that was a great fail.
And no, my house is not on fire. I was, craving my bad habit. Sorry about that.
He's European. Don't hate him.
Here's another one.
Haters gonna hate.
My
Go
house
ahead.
not
Go ahead.
on fire. I'm all right. No worry.
Oh dear. That's funny. Okay. All right. So.
And another one.
Go ahead. Another one?
Craig is mad. Moritz is on fire. Jody is quieter than usual. And appears to be the only one sane person tonight.
Thanks.
Something's wrong with Pam.
It has to be Friday 13.
This has been the show for about. Talking about a throwaway
on
show.
the show, there is definitely something wrong.
Oh my God. All right, so I'd like
Any
to
more
issue
takes on the photo editor?
Huh? What is it?
Any more takes on the photo editor?
I think we're good on that, right? I wouldn't mind
I bet if Alan would be here, we would probably talk about another 2 hours about that. And Craig, but yeah.
Are we good? I wouldn't mind like rushing through our last fun topics before we.
Yeah. So
Okay, so next
that
up
was
is
a short photo
Hangouts.
topic compared
Yeah.
to last week.
Hangouts HD. Is it for all for video calls and for Hangouts on Air, or was
Yeah.
it?
So
what's the change,
Chichu
Morris?
announced, I think last week, the start of rolling out Hangouts HD, and
You still
it
got your
was
comment up,
first-
buddy.
Pardon? What? Oh,
Still-
sorry. Sorry. There we go.
He's trying to promote his comment, Gerwin's comment tracker feature.
So Chichu announced last week that we're rolling out Hangouts HD, and we started with the Hangouts on Air, and a lot of people were using it already in Hangouts on Air. And today I saw the first people posting that they got a Hangouts HD in regular Hangouts. So this is now rolling out slowly to everyone in regular Hangouts, so you can use HD everywhere whenever you need it, if your computer is able to do it. So you still need a 4-core CPU at a minimum, and a good internet connection and stuff like that. But as soon as you like see the like when you join a Hangout and you go to the bandwidth setting, it should there should be like a pop-up info thing asking you if you want to enable HD. And if you see the option, you're good to go. Otherwise, you won't see it. So if you don't see it, your machine is not strong enough to handle HD. But it's, I think, a good thing. I mean, Dan is using full HD with YouTube Live, and I think you were using the HD option as well, right? In Hangouts on Air.
Yes.
Yeah. So the differences are quite noticeable. So I'm not sure if like with the whole screen piping thing Alan is doing. But for example, like also the overlays, like the lower third I'm using, this is the 720p version. So and even on the stream, I'm checking it right now. It looks crisp and clear. There's a slightly blurriness because Dan is doing the screen sharing thing. But I think here in the Hangout, you guys agree that it looked like really crisp and clear. The overlay and also the video looks better. And if I go ahead and would go down a level in the bandwidth setting, you see that the lower third, starts to pixelate slightly and stuff like that. So there's a difference in video quality, and it's a good step forward, and increases the quality in Hangouts and Hangouts on Air.
Awesome. Okay, so in addition to that, we have I watched it and I blogged this. I did it like a live observations or quick take. I was listening to Secretary of State John Kerry's Hangout, and I was like typing up the stuff, and I put not a transcript, but like quick take, about this long or whatever. Basically, the key points right away, and it was kind of fun, and I was impressed at the guys the folks who did it, and also that he wasn't like a bloviator. I mean, he basically answered questions fairly quickly, and they got a lot of questions in, and they got questions in from Google Plus users, from YouTube comments, from the reporters involved in the project, and I was really impressed with how well it was run, and it was interesting. So let's talk about that. Did any of you folks see that? Did you watch it? Any thoughts on Secretary Kerry's Hangout on Air that he did? And I thought it was cool that he came to this platform. One of his 75,000 things he did that week. Any thoughts on this? Somebody say something.
I wasn't actually watching it. I didn't have time to really watch it. I will on the weekend. so I can't really contribute anything to this discussion at this point.
Nobody wants to weigh in on bombing Syria, except Jody. I know Jody, you're a big proponent of bombing Syria.
Why would you say such a thing? Actually, I think that. Do we want to talk politics?
Go
Oh,
ahead. I
Dan
mean,
loves talking politics.
Oh,
He lives for it.
Alan forbids it, but
Yeah.
since he's
Yeah.
away, the mice will play, right?
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
But-
can
yeah,
ask
He
cats.
has Viagra.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So, how do I answer this diplomatically? When I was growing up, there
Don't
were
be
two things
diplomatic. Pam's on the show.
there are two things that you didn't discuss. Okay, one was religion, the other one was politics, and it just seems that social media has knocked that adage out of the ballpark because everybody talks about politics, everybody, talks about religion, and those are two things that if you don't agree with somebody, you're not going to change their mind. I don't think, but. Are you trying to find out if I'm a dove or a hawk? Is that?
I think the bottom line, in my opinion, there is absolutely no doubt that chemical weapons were used, and that some number of kids were killed and civilians were killed. There is absolutely, in my opinion, no proof that has been presented to the public that Assad knew or approved of this. And if in my immediate analysis of this, he has the most to lose by unleashing chemical weapons, because the Western powers had said previously that that's the one to do to get involvement in his civil war. And so why on earth would he do this when he has a very powerful modern military? He doesn't need to use chemical weapons. So it doesn't make any sense to me. And they're under so much scrutiny now that and I don't want people using chemical weapons against innocent children. I mean, my God. But I don't know who did it. And that's the thing. You got to, before you execute somebody, you got to have the goods. And I don't think the U.S. administration has the goods. And they've got to get them if they're going to do something. So now it looks like it's going to work its way out. In my opinion, absolutely, they have not convinced me that from their public statements that Bashar al-Assad was aware of or approved, or elements of it, even elements of his administration were aware of or approved that chemical weapons attack. I mean, it could have been they sent missiles somewhere, and one rebel group threw some chemical weapons in there to make it look like, I mean, who knows? I have no idea. And I could be proven wrong, and I'd be the first to, concede that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not in Syria. I have no idea. But I'm in no way convinced. I'm not, pounding the pavement like we must go to war, over this. And I'm not convinced that he did anything wrong. As far as using chemical weapons in that August date. Any thoughts from you guys? Well,
yeah, everybody's being quiet. I think, Dan, I think you hit a couple of really good points. And one is that I agree with you. I think that the evidence is that chemicals were used. Evidence is that children were killed. Nobody likes a situation where somebody is preying on children and families. I mean, they're innocent victims. I don't know that one side in Syria is better than the other. I think it's unfortunate that our president painted us into a corner. I think that it's unfortunate because it appears to me that by making ultimatums or making statements and then not backing them up, you wind up appearing to be very weak and creating an atmosphere. So
yeah, I mean, Putin's a bad guy, but in this case, he's politically handled it well. And it's also important to note that the last remaining Soviet-era military base outside of Russia in the whole world is in Syria. So they have a military relationship. They're, a cooperative military relationship. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it doesn't look like there's imminent bombing that's going to occur. It looks like the Obama administration has embraced this Russian alternative for two reasons. One, that it is hugely unpopular, this notion that we're going to bomb Syria when there's so little evidence. And for the second reason, that if they do in fact sign the Chemical Weapons Treaty, the UN Charter, and give up their their chemical weapons, then mission accomplished. But we're still arming the Syrian rebels, and I'm not sure that's an all-encompassing term of good guys and bad guys. So it's a very complicated situation. I'm glad I'm not on that desk running that. I would not want that job and have to make those calls. But I wish those folks well. And
Did you see that video where the one guy had ripped out the heart of one of the soldiers and was eating it?
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, I mean, you can look at this crazy Christian pastor who was arrested. He was about to burn 3,000 or whatever Korans.
Yeah, well, the last time,
But
time
that's
he
not
burned
representative of every
one.
Christian.
But he went and burned one, and it caused problems in the Middle East. Why is the media even reporting that? Why are they even covering that?
I mean,
if they
this
completely
guy-
ignored him, then
Yeah, and
You
this
know?
local sheriff just has some common sense. He just basically arrested him, and they said, "What are the charges?" And he said, "We'll get back to you later." They just basically shut him down, because they don't want, another 30 people killed in Afghanistan or something because of some,
yeah.
asshole trying to get on CNN.
exactly.
Yeah, this
You know,
guy's a jerk.
And there's so much stuff that's happening just here. I mean, even in our own country that, I mean, I understand, we have to be concerned about things that are happening in the Middle East, and oil is very important to us, and we have to be concerned about people burning the Koran. But just this week, with the demonstrations that took place in Washington, D.C., from what I've heard, and Dan, I'm sure you're, probably more savvy about like the nuances of what happened, but there was a Muslim demonstration where they had filed for and received a permit to demonstrate on September the 11th in Washington, D.C. A group of bikers had requested also to have a permit. Their permit was denied. I'm not sure what the reason for the denial was. My understanding was that they had asked for streets to be closed. They were hoping to get 2 million bikers to the nation's capital to honor the victims of September 11th. But the fact that the one organization did get approval and the other group did not seemed to fuel a bigger situation. And what's really fascinating to me is that when you look at the coverage, I have friends. I have a motorcycle. I don't know if you guys know, but I have a Harley. And
Are you a
I
biker
have a
chick
group.
for real?
What's that?
Are you a biker
Yeah.
chick for real?
Yeah, I have a Harley.
Okay, cool.
And I have a group of riders in the South Jersey area. There's roughly 200 people that are members of my group. Now, this ride, the 2 million biker ride, I heard about through friends. I didn't know about it. It wasn't publicized through any national media. It was all social media. And I started hearing about it bits and pieces because friends of mine were going. I didn't go. To me, it's just I had work to do. I couldn't go. But friends of mine went, and by virtue of my knowing them, I was able to see videos and images of the people who went down there. From what I understand, there were over 1 million bikers. They didn't hit their goal of 2 million, but they had over 1 million bikers that went down. The types of videos that I saw that they sent up and the pictures that I saw that were sent up were pictures of them being ticketed by the police in Washington, D.C. because they were parked. I mean, there were so many of them, there was nowhere to be, right? but they were parked on the side of the street and they were getting tickets. I saw images today where there were, I'm going to say maybe 20 to 50 of the first group of protesters that were walking down the street, almost one-to-one with policemen who were protecting them. And the bikers were down the sides. They weren't doing anything. They were just like watching. But all of these protesters were escorted by all of these police officers. And I guess what confused me, being up here in New Jersey and watching the media and knowing, I mean, I've seen the videos. I mean, there were hundreds of bikes that went from this area alone. And the mass, you can see some of the aerial images. The masses of bikes was just outstanding. This was to memorialize and commemorate what happened on the attack of September 11th, 2001. And yet, when you look at the broadcast media coverage, there was virtually nothing said. It was like a footnote. And I guess that kind of confuses me because it seems, and again, Dan, I know that you're in the media, so what I don't understand is why something that was to honor the victims of our own country and an attack on our own country wound up being virtually uncovered.
I don't know. I can tell you that, I mean, you have to make a news judgment. I don't know the facts. I saw the story. I don't know from I don't know if I heard it on WTOP or if it was, I forget where, but I knew that they had applied for a permit and didn't get it. And it may have been, I have no idea why they didn't get it. I don't know if it was a scheduling issue, like they didn't apply in time, or maybe they were like, oh my God, 2 million bikers. And closing streets down, inconveniencing other people. You have a freedom of speech, right? But you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, of course. And so, do you have a right to shut down multiple streets? And I know that in the D.C. area, there are demonstrations from various groups every single day. Some are large, some are small, and some are gigantic. And so, if you began a nightly newscast or your front page of your paper with the day's 75 demonstrations in D.C., nobody would watch or listen or read you, right? So there is a news judgment. But again, I'm 10,000 feet in the air. I have no idea about the specifics of this, if this was an outrage or not.
Yeah, I'm showing a video of
the number of bikes. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's really a lot of bikers.
This was actually not in D.C. This was the bikers were being escorted by the police over some bridge or something like that they closed down. So they were waiting for them to amass.
I don't know about that particular video, but yeah, this demonstration was in D.C. They met.
I understand the demonstration was in D.C. This video is not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to know more to make any kind of honest. I don't know. I don't know if somebody's. I mean, look, the D.C. government is on many levels corrupt and disgusting and taxes too much and spends too much. But in this case, I just don't know the facts. I can't comment on whether I mean, I don't know. I mean, millions of bikers coming and I don't know how as far as I know it was covered in terms, the main coverage, the angle was that they had applied for a permit and they said, we're going to do it anyway. And so
yeah.
I guess you would have to look at, I'll tell you, if you're interested in this story, to talk about the mainstream, first of all, it's a local story. I mean, there are 9/11 demonstrations nationwide. A D.C. or Denver or Dallas or, Houston, whatever, 9/11 demonstration is not national news. They cover the local stuff because there's just so many of them. And but if you wanted to see if it was covered locally, you want to look at WJLA, which is the ABC affiliate, WUSA, which is the CBS affiliate, WRC, which is the NBC affiliate, WTOP, which is and WMAL, which are the two main news talk stations, and WETA, which is the PBS station, and see if they covered it, to see if it was ignored by the mainstream media or not. But and that's your judgment call. But I mean, you know, it's like almost like, you know, our Christmas festival wasn't covered on CNN. Like, well, you know, there's lots of Christmas festivals. You know what I mean? So I hear what
Yeah.
you're saying, but and I don't know why the permit was denied. And I wish I had read that article, because I get a lot of notifications. I mean, I can't see it all, but I'm gonna make a point to read that and find out why. But I don't know. So I don't know if it was a bad call on them or what.
Well, here, let me, I don't know if I can do this. What do I have to do, screen share?
Don't share copyrighted stuff, though.
No, I don't think this is copyrighted. This is a video that somebody had on Facebook. Why can I not find it?
Now, Moritz, what would you do if you were the mayor and someone applied for a permit to bring 2 million motorcycles in?
Okay, so
I
the
can't
name of the
imagine.
group.
It depends on the cause, and I
Dan?
mean, like, there are a bunch of demonstrations in there, and you know, you have to care about safety, and in some cases you have to talk about like who is, you know, paying for all the stuff, and you know, getting
Yeah,
police
there would be
officers out there is
cost of it.
costing money,
This
and
is
not the, you know, people.
The name of the group is 2 Million Bikers, but there were not 2 million bikers. I mean, don't.
No, as
Okay,
Jody said,
just-
there were like roughly
Yeah.
about 1 million.
So it's only 1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like you have to think about
That's
like
not
this
what I
cost.
Anyway,
At some
Alan,
point, you have to balance the cost of, like, there's like cops involved, and yeah, we should do this.
But this is, okay, here, I'm going to see if I can show this, because this thing really flabbergasts me. Can you see my screen?
wait a second. There we go.
Yeah, give it.
Okay.
Muslim march. Like I said before, what a joke. You are looking at it.
But I don't see that many police officers.
Yeah.
There are
And
3, 4, 5.
But
Oh,
see,
no,
see the
there's
police
no-
officers?
They still think 9/11 was an inside job.
well, that's because
Please, action.
they're protecting the people who had the permit.
Peaceful.
There's nothing.
That's okay. It's just for safety, and I mean, usually when you have
Yeah.
so many people in one place,
Absolutely.
you have to
You
take
got
care
people on
about the safety.
motorbikes running over people who are walking. I mean,
Yeah,
Most of the protesters are white.
there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely not.
They
I
have
mean, you
rights of
can
freedom of
probably,
speech,
you know,
absolutely.
debate about the amount. If they say, like in the comments, like 300 cops for like 22 demonstrants or whatever, or protesters. But it was for safety
And-
reasons, and
we don't know if the Muslims applied for the permit first, the bikers applied for the permit second, and you know, there's a lot of things we don't know about who or how or why they chose one over the other. I mean, speculating doesn't do anyone any good.
And how big
You
was
know.
the Muslim permit? I mean, was it?
I don't know.
it like
I
six
don't,
guys?
because
no one of us knows, and we can
Yeah.
continue discussing
Yeah.
that.
Okay, let's move on,
One
'cause
comment on that: mainstream media sucks, completely sucks.
oh, that's true.
Okay,
That's why I
so-
watch Google Plus Week.
Absolutely.
And with that, Alan, Dan, let's go to Alan's next segment.
I can do
Roll.
Alan.
Oh, another good comment. Though Jody just went from an 8 to a 10 on the sexy scale.
Hello. Hello,
Why is
Jody.
that?
All right, Jody. We'll have a. I need to invite
Because you have
to
a Harley.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Jody. Well, We'll have another private chat later. Just-
There you go.
No, but I think before we roll Alan's next video, we have I think 3 more other topics, right?
Yes. Okay. Next up is
Something for our European
the next one.
viewers.
I have not looked at. I don't know anything about it. Do you know anything about it? If not, we'll skip it.
No, don't skip it.
No.
Then
Okay,
Twitter IPO.
Okay, the Twitter IPO. I've seen some stuff about. I guess there was I got an email from Twitter. It was random, or I got a tweet and then a notification from Twitter saying that they're trying new things, and it was weird and random. And I was like, why are they sending me this? Saying that like over the last course of 2 years we've been testing new features, and sometimes you'll see things and that are new, and maybe your friends won't see the same thing. And then I thought, okay, fine. Why are you telling me this? I mean, that's par for the course. And then I saw a story or a blog post or whatever that said, is Twitter doing push it was from John Herman. He posted it or he tweeted it. John Herman from BuzzFeed maybe. And it was, Twitter are they doing push notification ads now or something like that? And then I got the news that Twitter had filed for an IPO. And so what do you guys think about this? This was long anticipated, right? And the biggest thing about Twitter was that it was not making any money. And so I would not be in any way surprised if, following the pattern of Facebook, see, one advantage Google has is they have multiple things. They have YouTube, they have Gmail, all these different things, Android. Facebook is like a one-trick pony, and Twitter's a one-trick pony. So when they go public, they've got to figure out ways to monetize and slam their users with ads. And that's one advantage that Google has, because like on Google Plus, there's no advertising at all. But that's not a luxury that Facebook or Twitter could afford. So any thoughts on Twitter going public?
I think,
or
yeah.
Jody, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Twitter had a heyday, maybe, I want to say maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. I don't know that as a social network that ever since Google Plus launched, I think there were a lot of people who migrated away from Twitter. I think there's a place for it. I think that unfortunately they've tried to make it a little bit more like Facebook or a little bit more like Google Plus, and they need to be the short burst little information sharing network that they have been. And I think their attempts to add other features to it, each one of them hasn't really worked that well. As far as like the advertising and the promoted tweets and all that, I think that it dilutes what Twitter is, and I think that their value is not going to be what it was a few years ago. I guess that's just my take on it, but I'm sure somebody will invest, but personally I wouldn't. I don't think it's thriving. I think it's on the downside.
Moritz, any thoughts on this?
Well, I think like Twitter didn't really had a monetization model in the past, and I think that's the next logical step for them to kind of save Twitter and to get something out of it. We'll see how it works out.
But that's interesting, Moritz, that you said save Twitter, because again, my perception is that, I mean, it's like a bell curve, right? So they had gone up, 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 and I see them as, they've already surpassed.
I mean, I never use Twitter that much. I know a lot of people that are using it and like communicating over Twitter, but I never was like a fan of like having a public conversation over Twitter and like having this, restriction to only like, I don't know how many characters they have the limit. I think 175 or something. I don't know.
140.
140. See, that's how often I use Twitter. And that's why I love Google Plus, because you have like, you can post as much you want, you can format your stuff and add rich media to it, and it helps me to express, what I want to say, and like I don't want to be limited with like 140 characters. And it's like this short, news stream kind of thing. And I know that a lot of people like that, to like follow that Twitter stream and get like breaking news and stuff like that. It's good for that, for those people. But I think they're missing out on the broad audience. Especially those like, well, not probably like the teenagers. They are still using Twitter, I think. But yeah, as you said, I think the trend is like going down, and Twitter has to come up with new ideas, and especially like getting like money out of it and monetize it, and doing an IPO is, I think, the only step they can do. I mean, how else would they do it? I mean, tweeting ads all over the place, that will piss users off even more. So, but I mean, even if they do the IPO and sell stocks and stuff like that, they have their stakeholders and people they have to satisfy, and then they have to come up with a monetization model, how they can generate money or generate revenue. So maybe it will be harder even after that. So I don't know. We will see.
What do you think?
I completely disagree with both of you. I think Twitter's awesome, but I'm a journalist, right? And
I said there are some people like you that are relying on those kind of Twitter feed and getting all those news from different places.
Yeah, it's the fastest way to get news. It's absolutely unparalleled. There are stories that I'll get on Twitter that I will see 2 hours later as on CNN, breaking. It's absolutely the fastest way. Everyone uses it. It's real simple, easy. But I'm a niche guy. I'm a news guy, and that's not, what most people are. So I don't know.
But wasn't that the same with Google Reader? I mean, all those people that were like, complaining the most that it's going away were like news people that rely, we're relying on those.
Yeah, it's a niche product. Yeah.
Easy, news feed in Reader, and they were screaming the loudest when we took it away.
But in the same way, they can still make it work, Morris, because in the same way that like Politico is expanding, he's Joe Albritton has sold his TV stations like WJLA and WSCT in Lynchburg, and he is expanding. He's just bought I think Capital New York, and he's pushing internet news delivery, and his basic pattern is you go to like a Wall Street Journal type audience, like New York, DC, and where you got rich guys, you got industry and politicians, and you can have a small audience, and you can, but they're a premium audience. In other words, when Amazon's, is it Jeff Bezos or Bezos? When he bought the Washington Post, I think, what was it, 250 million or so, or 300 million, whatever it was. It wasn't a lot of money, but he bought, a spot on the breakfast table of every single congressman and senator and the president of the United States, for a few $100 million. I mean, that's a good purchase, right? And so you got to, it's not always quantity, sometimes it's quality. And so if Twitter, even though for journalists, it's popular, but also we're seeing more teens using it. And I think they have a bright future, and they could use the money to get some more talent in and more developers in, that sort of thing. So I think you guys are selling them short.
Well, I don't think that what I'm saying is inconsistent with what you're saying, Dan. I agree with you, and I think that it is absolutely a tremendous media for journalism. I think it is, as long as they stay true to the model. Once they start adding the same parameters like Facebook, they're not staying true to the model. And I think that, again, and it's not to say that it's a bad thing for the purpose that you're using it, but when you think of any adoption plan, it is like a bell curve, and I really do feel like, and you have to figure too, like when you talk about adoption, we're talking about adoption by the masses. So you've got real people, and then you've got all of these bots that sprung up, You know, I call them the Britneys. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So you got the bots, and they're not real people, and you know they've got the auto follows, and you know they amass these accounts, and then they try to sell them. So to some extent, the purity of what it was has already, changed. And when you talk about an audience, like you look at the pure numbers, and I think this is true of Facebook as well, and it's starting to become true of Google+. They're not true numbers. They're not realistic numbers. And I think for any kind of advertising to make sense, people want to know that their reach is truly reach. What they're buying, they're actually buying people, not bots. So from that standpoint, my concern is that I'm not sure that it's healthy enough that this is, I hope it is, but I don't know that this is the time to monetize it. I think that 2-3 years ago would have been a better time to monetize it. They're almost like coming late to the game. But
Yep.
but I agree with you as a platform that it makes a heck of a lot of sense, for journalism. I hope it does stay. I hope it does become lean. I hope that it does lose all of the bots and become a true network again.
All right.
But-
Final thoughts on that, Moritz?
Yes, only this one comment that you have always been on a 10 for a long time.
All right.
And another one, I'm thinking if we could get Alan's final segment on fairly soon, we might be able to save this show.
All right. So
I think we did a good job, even with the glitches we had. We kind of saved it already.
All right. So this final story is just. I want both of you to pull this up. You got the topic doc open. I want you.
Yeah, I just read it.
We're gonna have a contest to see who can pronounce the name better. So this is this crazy story. All right. So where is it? Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. So this is some Hawaiian woman's last name is 36 characters and 19 syllables. And it's so long that she could not get a driver's license with the correct name. The max is 35 characters. So she's in the midst of a fight with the state and local officials to ensure that her full name gets listed on a license or ID card. Her name, this has nothing to do with Google+. It's just an awesome story. Her name is pronounced, here we go. I'm going to give it an attempt, and then I'm going to get Moritz with his German accent from Ireland, and then Jody to try this as well. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so we got it's Keihana Ikau Aki Ihuli Ikau How na ile. That's my oh my god, that's my pronunciation. All right, so
Okay, I give it a try.
all right, so we got to get Moritz on this here. With a German accent, it'll be even sexier. Here we go. Go ahead, Moritz.
Kei hanai kokawa ka eho lihea eka hao na ele.
See, you foreigners have some game. All right, Jody.
Maybe
you
I
wanna-
left
you
out a
wanna give it
syllable
shot?
somewhere, but
Sure.
For this
It's-
illegal name, I hope it don't get banned from YouTube for this. Go ahead.
Okay, it's Kehana Neko Keahana Nunu Li Hahu Hi Lela Kea Ikahana Hula Neali.
Oh my God. Oh
pretty
my
good,
God.
but made up.
Wow. Okay, so
There
I'm
was one
impressed.
syllable too much in your pronunciation.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
obviously.
I messed it up. Let me try it again.
All right, you guys can decide in the comments who won here. I obviously lost. It's definitely a. Or Pam, you're back. Pam, you want to try it?
No.
If Brad's on, make Brad try it.
Oh, Brad's on. Is Brad on?
Yeah, Brad just joined us.
All right, Brad,
Brad,
are you there?
He might
Hey,
be
you're
having the
muted.
same problems.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, or he's
it's just his image.
he's
All
halfway
right,
in.
so Let's see who's here still. Okay, Jody Rains, how was your Google Plus week?
It was
Or
a
your
very
week in
good
general,
Google-
either way. That's how it works. Like whatever happened this week that was cool and inspirational or fun or angry or whatever you can talk about.
Nothing angry. No, it was a good week. I think I shared most of my frustration with this whole Washington, D.C. biker event. My personal frustration was that I wasn't down there riding, but that's a whole nother story. I don't think this week can go by without remembering the events, the tragic events of September 11th of 2001. I mean, it's funny how a dozen years have gone by, and yet when you think about it, it seems like it was yesterday. But we live, we get stronger, and we go on. And it makes you kind of wonder too, when you think about how technology has changed from then to now, and how we communicate now, Twitter and through this kind of media. We didn't have that back then, and I just, I don't know that it would have changed anything, but I know, we would probably have had a lot more documentation, even though we did have a lot. But we've got another Brad.
So where were you on 9/11? Do you remember back? Like, I'm sure you do. This is, it's weird because like people say like, where were you on Pearl Harbor? When we were kids, you hear old folks talking about that, and we're going to be those old folks. Where were you on 9/11? In the song immortalized so well by Alan Jackson. But where were you on that day?
I was working for Oki Data, and I remember distinctly I was at my desk in my office when somebody mentioned that a plane they heard that a plane had hit into the World Trade Tower, and that I was working in Mount Laurel, which we're located roughly an hour and a half south of New York City. A lot of the people from this area were working or had family or had friends who did work in Manhattan, some of whom were at the Trade Tower that day. So when we heard that a plane crashed into the building, immediately everybody thought it was a little plane. Nobody realized that it was a big airliner. And we had a group that had come in from all over the United States who were in for a sales conference. Anyway, the way that things shook out, we by the end of the day, I remember the senior vice president bringing us all into the office and telling us if we had a way to get home, that we were welcome to leave at any time, and that nobody knew what the next day was going to bring. And he told us, go, if you want to pick up your kids, get your family, and I remember looking outside and seeing how beautiful of a day it was. If you remember, there was no humidity. The sky was brilliant blue. And to think that this devastation and loss of life could have happened on such what would have been an absolutely perfect day. It was almost eerie. But I remember exactly where I was when I first heard. I remember watching in horror on the as the story unfolded.
You're right. I hadn't thought about that for quite some time. That how beautiful a day it was, because I'm in Virginia, which is right, just 5 hours away from New York, and we share the same weather largely. But it was an absolutely gorgeous day, and I remember I was asleep, and my girlfriend woke me up, and in between the planes, and it was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. And it was earth shattering. I mean, it was like someone punched you in the face, and you're like, what the hell's going on? All that stuff. So, wow. So Moritz, how was your Google Plus week?
It was good so far. It was quite busy. I mean, we discussed a lot of, or some of the, actually all of the launches we had this week. So the new footage or embedded post, auto sharing on Blogger, the Hangouts HD, the Questions app, and the authorship attribution. And my team and I, we were like pretty involved in all those launches. So it was fairly busy for me this week to get all this stuff out to public, and it all went smooth mostly. And yeah, I was busy with those stuff and didn't had really much time to do any other stuff. And on Wednesday, actually, I got a a good surprise in the morning, actually, and a big shout out to Kim Flowers in Australia, because she made a post saying like, "Hey Moritz, have I told you lately how much I love you?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she actually just wanted to thank me because I helped her out with like a technical issue she had in the past to embed like a Google form into a website, and that really made my day this week. And yeah, big shout out to Kim, and that made me happy on that day. It's really good to like get such a note during a busy week.
That's
It's good to be appreciated.
You couldn't squeeze a beer in there? I mean, you're a German guy in Australia. Or in Ireland. You had to squeeze a beer in there somewhere.
Beers are always an option. Actually,
Is
we
that,
went to
is that in the Google Kitchen? Did they have
I
like,
forgot. We went to karaoke on Wednesday as well. So we had a lot of fun with the team out. So
now,
and we had some beers there.
now you're at Google Ireland. Do they have some like Guinness stuff in the cabinet somewhere?
Sure, I have Guinness in my fridge.
All right, awesome. All right, is Brad with us? Brad's not with us. Pam, how was your Google Plus week?
My Google Plus week was pretty good. I'm not prepared as usual.
How was your week in general?
Make it up.
How was your week in general? It didn't have to be.
Yeah, well, I posted some. I got into it with some people, and I posted. I'll post what I want when I want and how I want, and if you don't like it, then there are options, and here's what they are. But telling me you don't like my post isn't one of them. I posted some stuff about 9/11. I remember where I was. I was actually just getting out of the shower, getting ready for work. It was early in the morning, and my husband comes running in and asked me, said, you got to look at this. You're not going to believe what happened. And I went out there, and the first plane had hit, and as we were watching, we actually watched the second plane hit, and we looked at each other and we said, "Holy crap!" Well, that's not what we said, but
Right. We get the gist.
yeah. And instantly, I come from a military family, and so does he, and we were rocked to the core. So I remember going to work, and we were huddled around the radio, and the owner's son came into our lab and told us to get back to work, and we told him to something I can't say. We told him to get lost, basically, and go tell your daddy or whatever. I don't remember what we said, but we were listening to the accounts on the radio about the plane that went into the Pentagon and the other one that went into the field, and how they were calling up a strike to take down any airplane still in the air. And there was just like a whole bunch of stuff that I remember going on that morning, and we were pretty numb. So it was a interesting chain of events. The dichotomy between you're at work and this is happening to the nation, and hearing it, and of course they didn't know what was going on. They didn't realize, they didn't, and how they came to, because we listened all day. So it started out like, holy crap, what's going on, to, we have more information, and this is what's going on. So you heard the speculation and all that stuff as the day went on. It was mind-boggling. It's the closest I can come. So other than that, my Google Plus week was pretty uneventful. There was nothing else. When you look back, I mean, in 12 years, it doesn't. It seems like yesterday. Actually, it's still. Someone posted an account, and he was actually in New York. He didn't work in the World Trade Center, but he worked in another building, and he had posted an account on the 10th anniversary, and I reposted it, and it just talked about his day and the thoughts that went through his head. And there were some Japanese visitors in his building, and they were cowering in the corner. He said he'd never really seen fear until he saw these men in suits and everything cowering in the corner and stuff like that. It was a pretty emotional post, actually, at least for me. I really can't remember anything else about my week, so that's pretty much it.
It's pretty powerful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that it seems like a while ago until we approached the anniversary again. And then we're reminded of those anecdotes and things that, like, man, it's not that far ago when this, bastard set this whole thing up. Do we have, is Brad with us? Brad?
I think he tried twice. It doesn't look like he got in.
All right, he's just occupying.
He wrote in
spots
the
at this
chat
point.
though, but
He says, hey.
All right, so
but Ellen, how was your Google Plus?
yeah,
week?
I'm gonna go to Alan. I'll do mine first. I'll just say that, like you, I was thinking about 9/11 because I was she woke me up. I went downstairs. The first plane had hit, and then we were like freaked out, like what the hell's going on? And then the second plane hit the World Trade Center. I was like, oh my God. And then they said, like, then it started to trickle out. This probably, I mean, obviously at that point, something's going on. This is not normal. This is not an accident. And then we revved up, and it was a scary, devastating, humiliating time for America. It was awful. It made us angry and eager to fight back. And you can argue about whether we fought back in the right ways, but it was a bad day. And so as this anniversary approached this week for me, on the one hand, I was busy because every other week I'm really busy because we put a newspaper out, and then the other week we don't, so it's not that busy. But this week was the busy week. So on the one hand, I was contemplating this, and at the same time, I was I posted it was the 50th on September 12th. It was the 51st anniversary of John F. Kennedy giving the speech, I think at Rice University, about going to the moon. And he said, we will, this is shortly before his death. He said, we will go to the moon this decade. We seek to do these not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And it was just, it was a wonderful speech. And if you look at my profile, you'll find it, or just Google it. It's on YouTube. Look for the full version, because it's a really interesting speech on so many levels. Not only for the fact that it happened and it's JFK, but the interesting anecdotal things that he mentions. Like they talked about, instead of 40 cents per American citizen for space, we're going to spend 50 cents. Just weird things you don't see in the news. So it was kind of like in the same week I was exposed to a memory of a bad thing that happened to us from crazed fundamentalists. And at the same time, the next day, I was reminded of one of the most glorious things that we ever did, which was to put the first person ever on the moon, and the only person to date. So that's one thing that Vladimir can't take away from us. So it was a mixed week, and in the end, you always have to look forward. So let me go to Alan, who I had a similar conversation with. I'm trying to remember what. Oh God, is he 5 or 6 now?
6.
6. All right, so we're
Fix.
yeah. Oh my God!
No
I need a
talking.
producer.
Just push the button.
Help wanted. Dan needs a producer. Here we go. We'll be back in how many minutes? What's this one? I gotta
6
tell
minutes,
people. So they know
35
how long
seconds.
to how long
6
to get
minutes,
to pee or whatever.
35.
All right, yeah, 6:35. 6:35. Here we go. This is my exclusive interview with Alan Furstenberg. Alan Furstenberg, how was your Google Plus week?
It was a rough week in some ways. I was incredibly busy for most of the week, so I didn't get nearly as much time to do as I wanted to. And this weekend, I'm going to be turning off all my computers. I'm turning my cell phone off. Basically, I'm going into quiet mode starting at sundown on Friday, which is why we are recording this ahead of time. And that's so I can kind of reflect and think about how the year past has been and how the year ahead is. And I wrote a post on this earlier today as well.
Is it like a Ramadan thing where at 1 a.m. you're going to sneak on for a few minutes and then then the next morning you behave?
No. This is Yom Kippur. It's a day of fasting, and it's celebrated from sundown to sundown. And as part of that, I have traditionally turned off all my electronics. I kind of separate myself from my usual routine, and that gives me the opportunity to sit and reflect and think and kind of think about, how I could be better and how I've been over the past year. And one of the things I said in my post actually was I'm harsh a lot of times. I come across as a huge critic of Google.
Really?
And I know it happens on occasion.
You really toe the company line normally on the show.
Yeah, I'm in their back pocket, but I think part of and I come across as very gruff, and I come across as this rage against the machine type guy, and that's not really it. I think part of it is that I see so much potential, and I want to help Google achieve that potential. And some of the ways I do that is by working in their environment. Some of the ways I do that is by being a tester for them. Some of the ways I do that is by being a Glass Explorer. Being a GDE, and I'm thrilled and honored to be all of those things. And some of the way I do that is by sending feedback. And some of my feedback can get a little harsh. So, I don't know, the upcoming year, I think you'll still see me doing a lot of ranting, but hopefully it won't be as harsh as I've been.
Okay, so let me ask you about the super Sabbath that is Yom Kippur. Are you, literally you can't, you say fast. Does that mean, can you have water? What?
No eating or drinking for 24 hours.
Really? So do you go to, will there be a bunch of Jews at Golden Corral at 11 p.m.? Getting ready, drinking with a gallon of water next to them and eating as much as they possibly can. How do you go a day without any water? Or?
Traditionally, the night before, you do have a feast. And afterwards,
I would think
you'll
this
have
would not
a
be a
break
way
fast.
to get a more calm and collective Alan by putting you on low blood sugar.
It's never been the low blood sugar that's caused me
I can see you
to rage.
don't go to Costco. Don't go to Costco at noon, because you'll not be. But I guess you can do it every year. So, what's it like? On the 23rd hour, I guess you're like pacing back and forth in front of the smorgasbord, the buffets that hose down the table after you eat.
No, usually you're busy thinking about other things. So you're focused on other things. Usually it does not go all that difficult, and I hope it does not. And for anybody out there who is fasting or is about to fast, I wish you all an easy fast.
I remember there's been a few times, because I'm in a rural area, so we have power outages. And when that happens, I remember one time I from my phone I was posting pictures of, I'm cooking on my kerosene heater and I hope I don't die from the fumes or whatever. And I was reading Kindle books and had candles going and stuff. And you do suddenly realize the amount of time that you voluntarily give up in this social media experience that we so adore. But you realize you get to a more simpler place in your life when you turn that off. And you realize how many more hours in the day you have.
One of the things that I'm very fortunate about, when I first started getting into what we now call social media, I learned very early how to turn off the computer and how to step away from it, and how to interact in the real world, and not to let the social online world interfere with my social real world, and how to get the two to work together. So I'm fortunate in that respect, and Glass is the next step in me doing that, I think. But every so often, I like to just turn everything off and give myself a totally different perspective.
It's interesting that earlier in another segment you said, it's a give and take or pros and cons in different things, and social media is so powerful in that, like, great folks who are our friends now, like George Cozy in the Netherlands, Moritz in originally in Germany and now in Ireland, now working for Google. We've met Vic and all these Dory and these great folks we never would have met otherwise. You and I would not have met but for Google Plus. And so it's that's the positive side. The negative side is that it's such a time-sucking hole that sometimes you do suffer in the actual human contacts that are so important, because after all, we're mammals, and humans are a social creature.
And I think it's important. And I think it's important.
Shaking hands and hugging, and you know what I mean?
I think it's important, and I think it's important with all of our technology that we use technology to improve those sorts of things, and not to just make it another part of the digital wasteland. And to Facebook's credit, and I will give them credit where credit's due, they've tried to do some of that. And to Google's credit, they've tried doing some of that. And I think it's up to us as people to take advantage of the tools and to use them well.
And we thank you for sharing your Google Plus Week on Google Plus Week. All right, that was Alan, and now we're going to go to Brad. Brad, you've had some news in Australia, but first let me ask you, you do Tech Webcast with Jody.
Yeah, I do.
And tell us, how can folks find that broadcast?
Techwebcast.info.
Techwebcast.info, awesome.
That's correct.
All right, so how was your Google Plus Week, Brad?
It's fun, mate. It's every day is fun on Google Plus. Every day. It's always fun.
Any thoughts on, you have a new Prime Minister. This is a big event in Australia. How's that being received in Down Under, as they say?
It sucks.
All right, so you're not a big fan.
I don't really follow the politics at all, Dan, to be honest.
I heard, I read a couple of posts from some Aussies, and it was, I was like, this one guy went on, there was this list of adjectives describing your new, was it Prime Minister or whatever they call him? And it was a pretty interesting string of adjectives linked together. I wish I could pull up the post really quick. It was pretty funny. But I know nothing about it, so I don't know how true it is.
Is this suitable for prime time?
Oh, no. It's Cinemax maybe, or HBO.
It's interesting because I saw the same thing, and wasn't it like, it wasn't so much as Abbott won as Labor lost. Infighting and all that stuff. I'm not sure what went on, but I interviewed an Australian cabinet member some time ago, and several years, like 07 or whatever, and there are several interesting things about Australian politics. For one thing, you're legally required to vote, and in America, we're doing things like, voter drives and stuff. In Australia, you have to vote legally. Unlike America, most politicians in Australia are not wealthy. There are several differences. It's any thoughts on that, Brad? I mean, I don't know if you study American politics or whatever, but basically here, it's the highest bidder gets to office or whatever. But
if you don't have to vote, I didn't have to vote because my name wasn't on the enrollment list. But if you don't vote, you get a fine. So you have to vote.
Yeah, that's really something to consider. Imagine if everyone was legally required to vote, and in America, in the United States, I always get beat up by Brazilians and stuff like you using America as a generic term, but in the United States. So that's really interesting. So anyway, okay, so I want to thank our panel tonight. It was awesome. And check out Tech Webcast. It's an incredible show. I've been on it several times, as has Alan. And we appreciate all your viewers and comments. I'm sorry about all the technical, glitches we had tonight, but there were some issues that seem to have kind of worked themselves out, thanks to all the great folks at Google, and thank you for that. But we are back with our Android Week is Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Google Plus Week is every Friday around 8:30 p.m. unless Google is doing something crazy,
Promptly.
or I have to pee or whatever,
Around.
5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. And Jody, you were awesome. Brad, great to have you with us, and Pam and Moritz. And let me make sure I don't leave anybody out.
Yeah, I hope
left.
that we have the real Alan on the show next week again. And I was way not good enough as a replacement.
Oh, you did
comments.
a great job.
You did
You got that green shirt
It's,
on.
it's what, 7 in the morning, 7:30, 6:30
Yeah, what
in the
time is
morning?
it, Moritz?
5:30.
5:30.
I'm still good.
Good Lord. Good for Moritz.
And next week we hope that we have Alan on board again, and less
We're on
technical issues.
On that, we all agree. So thanks everybody for joining us for Google Plus Week, and until next time,
All right.
have a
Bye.
wonderful, epic, awesome Google Plus Week. Good night.